You know the
We've
show.
done
You've
it
been here.
387 times.
We really
I
have.
see a familiar sight in the the Blood Rage. What do you call it? Keycard stinger
Keycard stinger?
on YouTube. You're doing. You do a little like what would they call that?
Oh, I don't know.
Like the title card has a
An
background,
animated background. Yeah.
but for the theme of our show, it's like you're in a Blood Rage.
Oh yeah, totally, dude. It's all rage timers are on now for the background. This is actually this is
That's what I
Darktide.
recognize. Yeah,
Darktide guns and stuff. Get that cool axe. Because I figure, we're gonna give a little love to Darktide today. Actually, I'm excited to hear you talk about it because I meant to play it this week and I didn't have time. All right, here we go. Chat room, we're recording. It's all good in the hood, and here it starts in 3, 2, 1.
Another offer? Ditch the middleman? Shit, now that's rich.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Core. This is Core for Thursday, October 12th, 2023. And we are in the thick of spooky season. We're playing a lot of video games, talking about a lot of news, and just doing Core. It's what we do on Thursdays. All right? I know a bunch of you know it because, holy shit, a bunch of you signed up for our Patreon this week. I can't even wait to talk about it. It's insane to me. I'm having an AI read them all because it's too big of a list. That's how crazy it's going to be later. So whatever you guys are doing, keep it up, I guess, because Core is popping. It's nice to see you all. We're here, me, Scott Johnson, with Bo Schwartz and John Jagger, and we have a ton to talk about. I wanted to start with a little thing, just something I noticed. You know Jackie Wells in Cyberpunk, right? Everyone loves Jackie. Mm-hmm. Jackie, the actor who plays him, his name is Jason Hightower. He has an amazing mustache. I recommend looking him up on IMDb. Anyway, dude is mostly known for kids' cartoons. Not too many video games, which is crazy to me because he's perfect as Jackie, right? We love him. Guy's great. Well, I will talk about it later and why I played it, but I picked up Rage 2 a little bit this week. And lo and behold, there's a dude in that game, and I went, whoa, that's Jackie. So I'm going to play some Jackie audio, and then I want to play some John Marshall from Rage 2 audio, okay? Just for a fun comparison. So here's the Jackie Wells we know from Cyberpunk.
But I can. And I am. And you should too. Now, what do you say we liquor up and talk life?
Okay, so having a good time with Jackie in the bar, right? Probably the afterlife is where he's at. Now here's John Marshall.
It's Moxie's, I think. Actually.
Is it Moxie? It might be. Here is John Marshall in Rage 2. He's a dude you take quests from and stuff. And I walked into this room and I was just taken aback. Here it is.
Now I'm telling you, that's bad intel, Gulo.
Gimme, you just need a tiny gulp, Marsh.
No, you don't get true swill if you don't give true talk.
Kind of cool, right?
It's kind of right.
Yeah, although I thought it was from a porno at the beginning, but it corrected pretty quickly.
Yeah, there's a girl who's less of a good actor, I think, in there who really needs a hit from whatever the booze is there. And so she's begging for it. And anyway, I heard that voice and I just got excited. And he gives you quests all through the game. Bo, you may remember you played a bunch of Rage 2.
I did play a lot of it. I never finished it, but at like 80% maybe.
Oh, yeah, that's a lot. You got a lot farther than I did the first time.
Yeah.
We'll talk more about it.
Pretty good.
Yeah, Rage 2 is underrated. Underrated, I believe. I think people gave it a hard time for being I don't know what the problem was. We'll talk about it when we get to games we played, but I have stuff to say about Rage 2. But I also have this. All right, so a new form of hackery is out there. Be nervous, everyone. Not really. If you're a game dev mostly, maybe you'll be a little nervous. But Steam is going to start requiring two-factor authentication for game devs to update their games on Steam. So any game, small or big, you have a patch, you have to log in two-factor authentication style. There's no getting around it. They're forcing it on you for security reasons because, in theory, and they didn't say whether any of this has actually happened, but the loophole is, in theory, it's possible for a game update to contain a bunch of malware, really on any service, if the game dev account is compromised. So the idea would be when Bo finishes Super Lake Run, the upcoming mega hit Super Lake Run, And when you submit that to Steam and you want to do updates, you're going to have to 2FA in there because somebody's going to put malware in there. And can you imagine a worse thing for us as the show where we talk about Lake Run, the whole story happened here, the entire impetus for the existence of the name Lake Run came from here, and then we find out we're putting malware on everyone's machines? We'll be ostracized and hated among gamers forever.
I mean, that's very dramatic, but yeah, it would be definitely super irritating.
Yeah. Well, somebody you're making, since you're closest there is here today, somebody who's going to maybe make some games.
Well, I mean, I have a personal story, right? So you guys know about my other. Well, we haven't done one in a show in like 4 years, but remember Good, Bad, or Bullshit?
Yeah, I remember that.
The podcast. You've been on it, Scott.
I know.
We
It was
did
fun.
discuss conspiracy theories. It was just a random topic with Mike and Crofton, whom I bring up a lot in the show. Well, so that site it's still up, goodbadbull.com. You can go visit it, although beware. But because listen to the story I'm about to tell you first, because I think it's okay.
Yeah.
But you never know. So what happened was, we hiatused the show. We hadn't been doing it for a while, and I went and visited just to check on it. And all the menu items said, click here to buy Viagra.
Viagra.
Like the whole,
oh, wow.
yeah, and it was like a whole bunch of weird ad hominem, like weird text, like gibberish, email spam. And you clicked on any link, and it would take you to some weird site where it would sell you Viagra. So that button where it says subscribe, you're showing it for our YouTube watchers.
Yeah.
It would say, click here for Viagra. Like literally it happened on my website. And I freaked out, of course, because I'm like, what are going to happen to the tens of people who are coming to this site? They're going to get screwed. And so I spent the better part of like 3 weeks trying to untangle the mess that happened. I tried to figure, how did I get compromised? Like I have good email hygiene.
Mm-hmm.
I don't click on stuff. Like, how did this happen?
Do you run a site? Does the site run on your own server? Is it
I don't know if this is what podcasters do these days. I know a lot of them just throw it up on TikTok and call it a podcast, but I believe I examined your site when you were doing the morning stream, because I started Good, Bad, or Bullshit before we ever met.
Right.
Inspired by Instance and stuff. I was like, let me make my own.
Sure, why not?
I got a WordPress site. I got the Blueberry plugin. And, my friends were like, you don't want the standard WordPress site. When you get a WordPress site, you're doing everything you can to make your site not look like WordPress.
Right.
So I go to, what is it, Theme Apples or something? There's, those sites where you can buy like
you can buy themes.
website themes for like $50. Like,
Sure.
I can't remember what it was called, but there's a site. So I got a theme. And, I'm customizing. You get all these plugins that, dudes somewhere in the world write, like how to get Google fonts onto your WordPress site. It's just like a 20 kilobyte plugin. Boom, download it. So I got like 10 or 20 plugins. So here's what happens. Those plugins, they don't make money. It's like people in the WordPress community write them. If they're great, they get updated. If some of them have monetization plans for pro features, like I think Blueberry is one of them for the podcasting, still use it to host my shows.
Blueberry's fine. They're good. They're all right.
Yeah. I think I assumed you used that at one point. I think
I don't think I ever used them, but I know that they're well regarded in our circles.
It's a very popular plugin and maintained and even updated as much as this year. I know I updated them on my site because now I regularly update and inspect my plugins, even just out of internet hygiene.
Sure.
But I hadn't touched the site in like years, right? Like it's working fine, leave it alone. So apparently what happens is, like, let's say you make a plugin to make your post button blue. You just, for whatever reason, there's a weird little plugin that makes a certain button blue, or does your Twitter links or something like that. Well, that person is obviously not making money, and they take their plugin, they sell it.
Yeah,
for like $100 or $200. They're like, whatever. I'm done updating this. Does someone else want it? So they who knows? You're selling it to someone on the internet. So some bad actor buys your plugin and updates it with malware and then propagates it on your site. And what I learned was it wasn't even that they want your web hosting or your website for the malware links. They also propagate their bullshit from hacked websites.
Yeah.
So, I've got like tons of gigs on my GoDaddy web hosting. Yes, I knew all the generic website products. You name that, you name it, I have it.
Yeah.
The GoDaddy hosting. They just use that to launch other attacks. So they love getting into your shitty WordPress site you haven't updated in 10 years but are still paying for in order to, from cover, launch their attacks.
Oh,
So it never occurred to me. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. I have a question. But
Well, I mean, so like that's how my website got hacked. I had to buy website or web hosting hardening pro tool to search for everything. I mean, I had lots of stuff on backup, but not the website, so I didn't want to start from scratch. So I had to use FTP software to go through every file, comb through it. I had to learn PHP so I could understand what I was reading, and just identify snippets of code that might have gotten injected into my PHP that didn't look right if I couldn't overwrite it with a fresh install.
Sure.
It took me weeks, dude. And I'm like, I have a life. I want to move on with things. And I spent like so much time cleaning my site. And now I've got website hardening and TFA on my login.
Oh, you clicked one of the Viagra links.
Yeah, that's your problem.
Yeah. But you know what I mean? Like, it's, lesson learned. So when this came up, I'm like, we have to tell everyone about this because it sucks. You do everything right and some asshole application that you're not paying attention to is a vulnerable vector of attack. And I was like, wow, there are so many old games in my Steam library, and every now and then you get a burr in your butt to be like, what's an old game I'm just even gonna open my library here and just try and find something random that I haven't seen.
It's like I was playing Papers, Please this week. Game came out in 2012 or 13. Like that's a good example. It's an old,
but I mean,
small
even
game.
like less well known, right? Like
Right.
that's like at least well known. Like just something like I've got a game here called 140. What the hell is that?
Yeah, what is 140? What is that?
I don't know. 140. It came out October 2013. It looks like a weird indie shapes game. Developer Carlson Games, publisher Carlson Games. Is the only game. Well, they released that and Toth in 2016, and then a few
Toth.
soundtracks. For all we know, this person sold off their IP to someone else, and someone's in there and going to update it and put some ransomware on your shit, or who knows what they can put on there. It's like it's an exe you're running. You're trusting because it's on your Steam account that it's going to be fine.
Right.
So, I guess the two-factor authentication, if you're buying it, you're probably also going to buy the 2FA. So that actually doesn't help prevent the nightmare I just described to you, but something to be aware of. Anyways, just if you have antivirus, or something like that, it might be a good idea to check those old games because Steam was reportedly finding instances of games with malware.
Yeah.
On their service.
And that's why they forced this, which is the right thing to do. Like, this is a way to lock it down. So the only problem is some people, if they're already compromised, how do they do their updates without, well, I guess they just have to get two-factor and update it.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's Steam has two-factor, but think of all the stores you have.
Oh, good point. You got to submit to Epic and Steam.
Open up a whole new box of nightmare. I mean, GOG, I got Epic Games. Like, are you still using EA Origin? That's probably not getting a lot of love if it even still exists or whatever it's called.
I mean, this
now.
is going back quite a ways, but I had my World of Warcraft account stolen.
I remember
and
that. Yeah.
Characters deleted and all of that, and that was from the Blizzard client. At the time when you launched it, it would launch a Flash player, an Adobe Flash player in the client, and Adobe Flash had just updated and there was a vulnerability in that version of Flash, and just opening the Warcraft client opened me up to a keylogger. And immediately my WoW account was stolen. I just remember being at work. Actually, I think it might have been at school at this point because this was very early WoW days.
Yeah.
And just while I'm at school getting a notice like, hey, your account's been suspended. Like, I'm at home. What's going on?
Yeah.
And then, we've terminated your account. And by the time I got home, it was back to, we think your account might have been compromised. We're looking into it.
I forgot that little individual launcher before they had BattleNet was just a little flash shockwave thing, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
dude, that was that's their freaking fault. I mean, by their fault, I mean, well, Maybe Blizzard didn't know. Maybe we were still in the phase of we didn't know Flash was going to be such a freaking porous nightmare of security, but it became that very quickly. And I'm glad you got it back. What'd you have to do? Like go through a bunch of hoops to get your account back?
They recognized pretty early, like I said, during the course of the day, it went from, hey, you violated terms of service, your account's been suspended, to, hey, we think your account might have been compromised, to, hey, we're trying to restore items and purchases.
Yeah.
And so I think it was a case of like that night I couldn't play, like my stuff was all gone.
Yeah.
But I think by the next morning, all my stuff had been restored.
Oh, that's quick.
So
all right.
it didn't take too long. But I imagine Blizzard got hit with a lot of these because it was a pretty well-known like issue for a while.
I found out not too many years ago. I guess I found out in 2013, but the occurrence happened in 2008 where we were running Lich King, the dungeon. Was it that? Anyway, the Hodor fight? Not Hodor. What was his name? The frozen
Hodor?
guy. Not Hodor. Hodor's from Game of Thrones.
Lieutenant Sourfang?
What's his name?
That's what was in my head. Wait. Is it the one where there's ice? Is that the Lich King?
Yeah, it's the Lich King expand, or it's the Lich King. I think was it Hodor? Me and guys in
There's
our raid
no one
team.
in WoW called Hodor.
Hodir.
Right?
Hodir.
Hodir.
It's Hodir.
Old War.
Yes, Hodir and Old War. That's what it was. Old War, not
there
Lich
you
King. So we're playing Old War. We, probably the most on repeat dungeon I ever did. It was just constant, always playing that thing. And there was the fight with Hodor. The bow I always wanted finally dropped. Don't remember the name of it. Some kind of frost bow, and it dropped off of him, and I got it. And then DC, the whole server DC'd right as I was picking the thing up.
Oh no.
So I went on, I went through all the support channels to say, dude, this was in my grasp and I worked really hard to get this. It's been weeks trying to get it. I finally got it. Please, can you do something? I didn't think it was that big of a request, but I put it out there. And within, 5, 6, 7 days, something like that, I think we had 2 shows in between so I could talk about it. But on maybe about a week later, they said, yeah, it'll be in your mailbox. And it all got worked out because they were able to prove. So it was really nice. But then this guy I talked to in 2013, he's a listener of the show. And he goes, by the way, you caused me a lot of headaches back in the day. And I said, what do you mean? And he goes, back when that Hodir thing fell, or that thing, and you called support saying you lost your drop, I was working in customer service at the time, and it was very controversial that we gave you that bow back. And I said, really?
Internally?
Yeah, internally controversial, because some people were like, he has this podcast that a lot of people listen to. We really probably ought to give him the bow. Like, they didn't want me to be pissed, which I wouldn't have been. I would have just said, oh, well, move on. But he says there were people on one side going, we got to do it. We have to give it to him. It's obvious. We're going to hear about this if we don't do this. And the other part of the room's like, hell no, we don't. We're not giving him that. He can go get that bow again. Like, it was a real division. And they had all these kind of like internal arguments about it. That's why it took so long. They finally relented and said, yeah, let's do it. I'm like, dude, I did not mean to cause any kind of kerfuffle internally. And he goes, oh, it's all water under the bridge now. And he was working then in 2013, he was working in the tech side of putting BlizzCon on. So he was in that big computer room, the server room that runs everything. He was one of the chief dudes in there. So he's fine now.
I don't think there's a perfect answer for that question.
I don't either.
On the worst end of influencer culture is, hi, I'm walking into your store, 1 million people are watching, give me free ice cream.
Yeah, I hate that.
Or that's like the bad end. And the good end is like, word of mouth is a good thing if we're seen as a benevolent.
Yeah, I like benevolent.
If we're seen as a benevolent company.
Yep. Everyone wants to be a Belephant company.
It will reflect well on us to give this person their bow back. And yes, we might get an increase of people requesting that stuff, but
well, that was the worry, right? Is that you'd set a precedent where anybody could complain about, oh, I DC'd right when it dropped, not fair. What they had to prove
but
out.
You're gonna get that anyway. Like,
That's
do you
true.
really think if anybody in WoW, regardless of whatever happened to captain the instance, like if you got an item and you felt like you rightfully got it, and then a DC happened and you didn't have that item anymore, 100% you're contacting customer support regardless, and they evaluate on a case by case basis.
Yeah, especially wasn't just my internet, it was the entire server went down, which was my big reason. Like if it had just been me, my internet took a dump, I would have been, well, that's the breaks. What are you
Did
gonna
everyone
do?
else in your raid get their items restored?
I don't think there was much else in there. Maybe they did.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but
Yeah,
there
that
was
was
a raid
the
in
era
raid.
of like the boss dropped 2 things.
Yeah. And you rolled for him. We were still rolling for him then, I think, right? Pretty sure.
Yeah.
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 mean, there's just, that's why I say there's no right answer to it, right? Streamer privilege is a thing,
yeah.
and some people hate it, but for the reasons I outlined, it can be a good thing.
But in
Reflect
08, it
on
was
your
kind of
company.
new, right? This idea of, streamer culture hadn't really taken over. We were a moderately to large size podcast. It was all about their game. They had people internally listening to it. So I think it was just a timing thing. If it was today and I said, this is Scott from Core, and that bow totally dropped, I don't think I would ever hear back from them. Or I would immediately get a thing saying, we don't give away stuff from DCs. Like, I think those days are long gone. They were still kind of small in 08. And it was a nice time. I miss that time.
Yeah.
Anyway, well, there you have it. Don't put, or careful what you install. And if you're a dev, update your shit and get your 2FA going, at least for Steam. For everything else, I don't know.
Yeah, that's for game developers to do. Although I think there's 2FA on Steam as well, because I have Steam Guard. So yeah, everyone should 2FA. Pretty much, you should 2FA at all times. It sounds dirty.
If they offer 2FA, you take 2FA.
Yeah,
It does sound dirty. I don't like it.
yeah.
But it's not. Two-factor authentication is good. That's not the greatest thing in the world, but it's the best we have. And if you can even do another layer on top of that with like some password
Do we
manager
have
stuff.
3FA?
I don't know if
3FA
there's
thing?
3FA or is there 3FA, 3-factor authentication? I don't know. Maybe like a fob, password, and a.
I'm sure if you worked at like even a Blizzard or some company that guards its secrets, I bet you there's probably some 3FA like key USB keys and stuff like
Probably bio stuff too, right? Like eye scans and fingerprints and
In a cup.
yeah, pee in a cup. Always pee in a cup every time if you can. If you can work that out. Anyway, that is a
that.
weird
Oh, it's
thing.
called MFA. They don't do. Why don't they do numbers? Why they got lazy after 2?
MFA?
So it's FA, 2FA, and then MFA.
What's MFA? Mother
Multi-factor.
effer.
Motherfucking authentication.
I knew someone was going to say it. I didn't know who. Turns out it's John. John saw an opportunity and grabbed it. All right,
Yeah.
let's talk about the games we're playing. So we played more Cyberpunk. I think mostly Scott and John because Bo kind of did a detour, but we'll talk about that. I got to the end of the main story. This is such a weird run for me because I played, it's a brand new save when 2.0 dropped, started playing a new game. The expansion comes out. I grab Phantom Liberty. I immediately do what I have to build up to the point that I can start Phantom Liberty. And then I do that. And I have a great time in there. And then I hit that quest where Idris Elba says, I'll call you in a couple days, and hangs up on me. And I'm like, all right, I'll go do other shit. And then what happened is I got so busy doing other stuff, body augmentation, seeing Ripper docs constantly, getting money from the Night City PD for all their stupid jobs that are everywhere, all that kind of thing, so I could earn money and get more implants, so on and so forth. And as a result, I got really sidetracked, did a bunch of quests, including main quests, and before I knew it, I was at the end of the game again, like the original game pre-expansion, where you go to that building and they say, if you're coming in here, you're done, so maybe don't come in here yet if you're not done doing stuff. And I went, oh yeah, okay, well then I should go back. And then John says, in our Discord, he said, hey, there's the scariest thing in the world in this game, in this Phantom Liberty expansion. And we didn't talk about it last week because he hadn't seen it yet. But it's scary as hell, maybe the scariest video game moment ever. You need to make sure you choose the right stuff.
It's pretty scary, but I don't know about that far. But it's scarier. It's a lot scarier than you expect Phantom Liberty to throw at you.
Yeah, and you're not the only person to say it or outlet to say it. I've seen it on various blogs, a couple of news sites. They're all saying, whoa, this thing takes a turn if you choose the dialogue options that give it to you. So John's like, I got to make sure you know what that is. We should stream this. And so I just went, you know what? I don't want to do the scariest thing in Cyberpunk alone. So I I haven't gone back to Idris Elba, not because I don't want to. I do. Instead, I'm just doing side shit. And some gigs are so easy. It's like you walk up to a gig and the gig is, there's a guy in there. So you go in there and you go, hey, there's a guy. And then before you know it, over on the side, bling, gig complete. And you get a bunch of money in your account. Like gigs are weird. They're kind of all over the place in terms of length and what they are. But that's what I did instead. So I don't know when we're going to do this, but we're going to figure out a time. John and I will sit down and I'll save right before whatever this sequence is. And then we're going to stream that and record it and post it for the world.
Yeah, I'll come up with a way to give you a spoiler free. You can keep playing Phantom Liberty up to this point. I mean, you kind of know it. Like, you kind of can see the story and you're like, well, we've been building to this. And I can see that things are about to really take off. But we can figure out when to do it, and then if we're gonna stream it, we'll make sure you pick the scary option. Because I'll be honest with you, Scott, knowing what I know about you, if you played through your way, I don't think you would see the scary part.
Really? You think I would like?
I don't think you'd make the choice that would lead to that.
Is it because it's a jerk choice? Like, you know what I mean?
And so that it's funny you mentioned that. I kind of want to talk about this, and I know Bo hasn't seen any of the expansion so far, so I'm not going to spoil anything about it, but I am going to talk a little vaguely about some of the choices in there. So I will try and dart around plot points, but depending on what your definition of a spoiler is, there might be a little bit of that.
Okay.
One of the things I really like about this game is like this choice specifically. You know, video games in general have had this kind of weird history of choice. Like you think of things like Knights of the Old Republic, right? Where it's, well, are you going to blow up the orphanage or are you going to save the children? It's like, okay, like, oh, let me see. Let me weigh this. Do I want to be a light Jedi or a Sith? What do I want to be?
Sure.
And so it's kind of evolved. And I think one of the things I find really interesting about the Phantom Liberty, the big choice, and you make lots of choices along the way, but the big choice that really diverges the story is it's less about morality and more about how you approach a decision. Because it's not picking... It's like, obviously I don't want to blow up the orphanage. But one person thinks that this is how you prevent that from happening, and one person thinks this is how you prevent that from happening. Which person do I think has the best idea? And it's not that like, oh, this person says you're a dick. Well, this person says they're a bigger dick. Which person do you agree with? I just really like that there's a better nuance to where it's just like we're all working towards the same goal. We just have different philosophies about how to get there.
Yeah.
And what do you value and what do you believe ultimately is the better way to go? And I think around this decision itself, one of the things I really loved about it was I didn't know, neither really felt right. You looked at one and you went, well, this person, you know, their thoughts on it should be right because of, you know, whatever reason. But I also can see collateral damage, and I can also see such a narrow focus that it's disregarding a lot of other important things. This person, you know, I don't know if I like their approach, but at least they're thinking big picture. You know, where do I want to go within that? And I think that's what I really like about Phantom Liberty's big decisions, is that it isn't so black and white. It's more, I see it in the chat, ideological about how you want to go about things.
Right.
So that's where the decision is. It does kind of narrow down to picking, you know, two people are presenting an option, and who do you want to believe, or who do you want to agree with? And then I love the fact that the game just diverges wildly depending on which one of those choices you make. I think it's very cool that, as amazing as this like horror segment of the game is, that a lot of people haven't even seen it. I got a message on Discord and someone said, John, I got to tell you, I played through Phantom Liberty. There wasn't a single scary thing in this video game. What on earth are you talking about?
Yeah.
And I said, well, did you go with this during the decision? They said, yeah. And I said, well, apparently nothing scary down that path. I went the other way.
Wow. And the game, I mean, it sounds like it's a chunk of content that is surprising you can skip.
Yeah. Yeah, it kind of is. I mean, I saw someone kind of reduce it to if you pick one path, you get a Hitman mission. And if you pick the other path, you get Alien Isolation.
Oh, shit. That game scares me bad. That's the comparison? Alien
That's
Isolation?
the comparison they made. Yeah,
Oh,
they said
geez.
one path is Hitman, the other path is Alien Isolation. So,
Remind me, what happened to Adam Smasher? This might be a spoiler. If you don't want to hear.
Adam Smasher, I mean, as far as where he is in your game, he's still alive and well.
That's right. Okay.
Have you finished Cyberpunk before?
I did the first time or last year.
Well, then you will know what happens to Adam Smasher.
I just can't remember.
We'll say this. He factors heavily in the climax of the video game.
We can spoil it, right? Like
the game's old. Yeah, people gave a shit last week. I don't know.
They're gonna say it every week. Here, we're gonna spoil the ending of Cyberpunk.
Yeah, no, I think the issue was we just didn't say spoiler alert. We kind of just
now we've said it.
So now we're going into regular spoilers.
Spoiler alert, everybody! Adam Smasher figures heavily into the final thing. You fight him as a boss, all that stuff. But the reason I was asking is if Adam Smasher maybe made a sideline thing happen over on the Idris Elba side of things, and maybe he was
I'm not
involved.
going to say because we're not spoiling Phantom Liberty.
Okay, because
I'm not going to talk about why it's scary. You will find out when we play this together.
He scares the shit out of me from the moment he walked into that freaking hotel in the early game and said that horrible thing to that girl.
Yeah,
I've been scared of him since. Don't like him.
We all know exactly what he says too, right? That's like one of the most memorable lines from the game.
Yeah, it's nasty. Yeah. It's so nasty. My wife is watching me.
You've seen Edge Runners? Like, he's even worse.
Yeah, he's worse than. Oh my gosh, he's worse. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and just say he might be the worst human, whatever's left of him that's human, in the game. It's a terrible, terrible creature of machine and man. Just an awful person. A huge dick, that Adam Smasher. Anyway, well, yeah, so we'll talk more about that. Interesting about what you're saying about the quests and decisions, and I do think the game is very good at I don't know, the way the questions come over to me and the way I answer them feels different than other games. We have a call later about the way the characters actually interact and talk with each other. I'll play that later so you guys can hear it, but aside from that, I think it's really strong. I didn't finish every side quest, every job, and every gig and everything to get to the final building. It just kind of happened that way. So I'm essentially a few missions away from completing the game once again. And then I went, wait a minute, I don't want to do this yet. So my plan is do John's weird, scary thing, then go clear the rest of it out, go back to the thing, finish my second run through plus the expansion. That's the plan.
I got a way to say this. I've been thinking about how to give you a hint because I don't want you to stop right now and go, I got nothing to play with it. You will know you are getting towards the final decision because you will be doing a major mission in disguise.
Okay. Not myself.
That's what I will say. You are in disguise. You're doing a big mission. You hit F5. Save.
Okay.
And then you can do whatever you want as long as you still have a save around that time. And then we can do the scary business.
So I could pour it out of there, do Night City PD crap, and not even worry about it until I get.
You can even play through to the end. Like, it's fine.
Just
although
keep
if things start to get scary, save. Like, oh, whoops, I picked the different decision. But
I'll do. Yeah.
I mean, I'm sometimes wrong on my predictions with Scott, but I think Scott would pick the option that wouldn't lead to horror.
So
Not
really
that they
curious.
tell you. They don't tell you by any stretch of the imagination.
That's why I'm so curious about it.
It is a complete surprise.
Is it a moral failing to choose that direction, or some kind of like?
No, again, it's not about morals. Like, every path has its pros and its cons. Like, it's about weighing the journey that you take. What is going to weigh heaviest on you? What's right for V? Like, we've had a lot of talk in our Discord actually about the endings to Cyberpunk, because a lot of people have mixed feelings about how Cyberpunk ends.
Mm.
And it's because Cyberpunk isn't a BioWare game. There isn't I picked every blue choice, here's your happy ending to the story.
Right.
Cyberpunk deals in shades of gray. You can make it your goal to value one thing, and the game will likely give it to you, but it will likely take something away with the other hand.
Yeah.
And then ask you if you're okay with that.
It's like Bo said last week or week before, the place is about dying. That world is about finishing up there are no happy endings in that game. You can maybe take happy things from your ending, but the Cyberpunk universe is not a place where you are going to drive off into the sunset and get married.
No, but there's cheap thrills to be had everywhere.
Oh yeah, all the time. Yeah. In fact, that's the whole idea. It's like Kim was watching me play it last night, and she goes, "This place is crazy." And I said, "Yeah, right." And she goes, "I mean, like, you're in the middle of this city. You are so bombarded with the weirdest advertising." And I said, "Yeah, that's kind of the point. It's a commentary on, markets run amok and corporate culture run amok and all these things, and how the lowest common denominator of society is sucked in by, a snake trying to go up the butt of somebody in an interactive poster or whatever it is."
And we lose our humanity in more ways than just transhumanism, but also, whatever. Here's a vending machine with guns in it. Need a gun? Like, we're not going to have any regulations on any commerce. Like,
right.
People want guns. It's their right to have guns. I mean, the stores in the game are called like the Second Amendment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's commentary, and she recognized it right away. She's never played it, seen me play only a little of it, and she understood. She was like, "Oh, I see what they're trying to do here. Like this is like portending the future, the potential future of people."
I mean, what's that meme? Hang on, I have a meme that I'll get, but Cyberpunk is like, hang on, let me get the meme and I'll be right. I'll come back.
Well, I just watched a whole video about the advertisements in Cyberpunk and how they're not far from what we have now. Like the difference between what we have in advertisement now and Cyberpunk is one is done by a marketing team and the other is done by artists. They said that's literally the difference. Yeah. Like you have one ad in Cyberpunk where someone's literally ripping the skin off of their face, and it's like nobody wants to date an Uggo. Like it's just being real blunt about it. But then you go and you find like skincare products, and they're marketing in a tactful way that exact
same
thing.
Yeah, yeah,
it's
and then
not
it's a matter
different.
of how
it's
much
just turned up a little bit.
Yeah, I agree. It's like I remember seeing RoboCop way back. We talked about RoboCop 2 weeks in a row now. RoboCop, and then the movie, that whole I'd buy that for $1, and those weird commercials and the board game commercial they show with the family, and it's all so extreme and sardonic and very cyberpunk, funny enough. But those commercials used to be so strange, and today they don't seem that weird now.
Yeah, they're tame.
They're tame.
Well, what I was thinking of was just a terrible thing to say. I hate to even invoke it, but just like the kind of helpless apathy towards school shootings and just generally public shootings are, right?
Yeah.
It's like sometimes the online response a lot of times is, well, it's a Monday in America. It's like, so just take that, add 10 years and make it 10 times worse. It's like neighbor got shot. Oh, well, whatever. Anyways, what are you having for breakfast?
Yeah. I mean, the game literally opens. You hear seconds of it before you hit the start button of yesterday's body count rose to a sturdy 30.
Yeah.
Like you hear it almost every single time where the announcer, there's no like sadness in his voice. It's like, hey, we hit 30. Look at us. You know, like we're doing it.
I got the meme. Share the meme.
Okay, share the meme. I'm looking. And also, it's like,
keep it on my phone because I bring it off in my head like every day. It's really,
when prominent people die in the game, they are revered, right? It's like a big deal. And I think we're closer to that reality, which is screw the common
That's,
people. All
what is that?
matters is
Streamer
celebrity.
privilege?
Yeah.
if you die with streamer privilege, people give a shit. If
Yeah.
not, you're nobody.
Yeah, nobody cares. You best start believing in cyberpunk dystopias. You're in one. Oh, it's Captain what's his beak?
It's Barbarossa.
Barbosa, yeah.
Barbarossa. Yep.
I love this meme. It's in my phone. I look at it all the time because I'm just like, as a reminder that it's like, oh yeah, we're not that.
Best thing is
we're not that far off from the cyberpunk that was maybe written in the 80s.
Yeah, I like his hat though. His Tron hat. That's great.
Yeah, the hat's really cool.
Yeah,
future pirate hat. Is,
my favorite part is the new text document.
Oh, I missed it the first time.
If it was a folder, you'd think that's where he kept the porn.
Yeah,
but, it's just a text document.
Yeah,
so
why is that there? Why
fine.
is that there? Is that on purpose? It's not on
I don't know. It's the word. It's how I found it. I actually honestly didn't, because it's on my phone. I didn't notice it until you blew it up that big. That's the first time I'm seeing it too.
I think somebody screen capped it while it must have been on their desktop as a wallpaper.
Who knows? That thing's probably been regurgitated. It's a deep fried.
Oh yeah, look at it. You can see the artifacting on it is pretty bad.
But sometimes those guys, they do it on purpose too. They get real into making their memes look like they've been reproduced 1,000 times.
Yeah, there's an aesthetic to it that we used to think was just ugly, and now we think of it as kind of cool and underground. Well, anyway, the game continues to be awesome. As much of it as I'm playing, it's already game I've played, but it's still great, and I'm enjoying it so much more the second time through.
What's in the new text document, just because chat room's asking, is a bunch of BitTorrent links to porn.
Oh, okay. So not far off, yeah.
Direct links to BitTorrent porn. Fantastic.
Their hashes or whatever they call them.
Sure. That makes perfect sense to me, given the context. Anything else we want to say about our Cyberpunk time this week?
The only thing I want to add to it is, like, playing this game sometimes makes me really mad at other video games.
Explain.
Because it takes 10 seconds for the game to load. I hit start, load my save, 10 seconds, it's like, get in there. I hit the button, and I know it didn't launch this way. So before anybody goes, yeah, it's broken, it's stuff. I know. We all know how Cyberpunk launched.
We get it.
But I'm talking about right now in the year 2023. I play Cyberpunk and it looks better than any other game I played this year by a mile.
Yeah.
And it runs incredibly.
Yeah.
And it annoys the shit out of me that I go to these other games that look half as good and they stutter and jitter and like flop all over the place, and you load it up and it's like, hold on, we gotta set some shaders.
Yeah, we're gonna be here for a while.
Bit. We gotta build a shader cache for you. And okay, and then you load the game, and that takes forever, even though you have a really good hard drive and all of that. And then you get in it, and the game runs like a mess. Yeah. And I'm not trying to throw shade at new games. I understand Cyberpunk had to walk 3 years to get here.
Yeah.
But it bugs me how good that game looks with how well it runs on top of it. It's so shocking to me.
Yeah. You know what else is shocking is its superb performance on a Steam Deck. It shouldn't run like that. It's beautiful on there. And it runs at a beautiful frame rate and has all this, like, it may not have ray tracing, but it does all the reflective stuff. It does all this other cool effects. The game looks insane on that handheld.
I still just love driving in it.
Yeah, it's fun.
When it rains.
Do you go?
Yeah,
you stay in the
rain is so good in Cyberpunk.
And
gosh.
I hate rain more.
You got to do it every show, but in VR it's even better.
Oh yeah, I'll bet it is.
That feeling of being in the car and being there, like I can't turn the graphics up, but like it has like really good immersive.
So are you guys in cab people, or do you pull out and do third person car? What do you do?
I do third person car.
I do too.
I always do first person. It's harder, especially keyboard and mouse. Because
it is harder. I gotta go places without killing people.
Yeah.
Well, I like to be immersed. I drive real slow like a grandma to make sure I obey the rules of the road. Don't draw anyone. I get into it, so it takes me a long time. There is a workaround. this is what makes motorbikes awesome in first person.
Yeah.
Because you can just drive on the middle strip and bypass all the traffic super easily.
That's true.
So I tend to be on the motorcycle more often than not, but I love being in the vehicles.
Motorcycles
I mean,
are really
I
good
love
in the
the
game.
immersion too. I will go in. It's why I like every mission where you ride with somebody. Like,
Yeah.
I think that they were really smart to include lots of missions where somebody's like, hey, get in my car, and you sit as a passenger in the car.
Yeah.
Because it lets you do that immersion without like having to be an absolute failure at driving, especially because like here's why I do third person. Like, yes, it's not that immersive that the camera, bounces out and I'm watching it in third person, but I still feel immersed in the city. It actually breaks my immersion more, and I know this will be to each their own, that I see my character's hands up in first person constantly going
Yeah.
as I'm trying to overcorrect my driving constantly to just not hit anybody. So in third person, I can just kind of cruise and I can just kind of observe the city and the surroundings and all of that. And it really is. It's an incredible environment. Bo's 100% right about the rain. Like, I know that there are other games that do this, but I will always be impressed by rain in video games where when you go under something, it stops raining
Yeah.
and you can see where it's raining ahead of you, but it's not raining on you currently. And then you come out from it and it's raining on you again. That always impresses me. From a technical level, I'm just a big mark for that sort of thing where I'm like, oh, I drove under the overpass and it stopped raining. How cool is that?
Yeah.
But I mean, that also calls back to a lot of really cool scenes in movies like The Matrix. You think about that movie where they park under the overpass and you just see a torrent of rain on the other side of it, but they're underneath it. So I think that stuff is cool. The world is just insane. It also bucks the trend. Like, outside of Night City is just desert, and I love it.
You like
I know
that, do you?
I notoriously hate deserts in video games. For whatever reason, it gets me with Night City. I
That's
don't know why.
interesting.
I love taking missions out in the Badlands.
What is
I
that
really
about?
do.
That's a very strange thing. I would have never guessed that with you, because to me it's like pretty deserty. It's like all the reasons you shouldn't like deserts, but it's
I think it's the break. It's not set in the Badlands. If it was set in the Badlands and you went into Night City, I'd feel the reverse. I'd hate where we were most of the time, and I go, oh, thank God I'm driving into Night City.
Yeah.
But so much happens in the city that when you get a mission that you drive out of the city, it feels so it opens up the world. Because I think in our brains as gamers, we're like, oh, they've programmed the city in here.
Yeah.
Somewhere there's an invisible wall that's gonna keep me in this city. But all of a sudden, next thing you know, you drive and you're out. You're out of the city. And you're out in that in between. And anybody who's gone on a road trip knows that feeling. And it especially hits home here, where that's what it looks like when you leave the city. It looks exactly like that. And I think it just kind of adds to that immersion that Bo's talking about, where it's like when I'm in the city and I drive out of it, it looks exactly like how it does in Cyberpunk 2077.
Yeah.
And it just builds that world and makes it feels like I have no reason to, but I could just keep driving for forever and go wherever I wanted.
Exactly. And if you're out far enough in the Badlands doing stuff for Patopolo, Pan America, what's her name?
The avocados.
Yes, all that
Avocados.
stuff. Yeah, when you're out there doing that stuff, you still can look over the horizon and see this city. It's a little murky because of the air and everything, but it's really something. Like the sense of scale is almost greater out there to just how big Night City is, because you can see it on the horizon. Like if you were looking at Vegas from Burning Man or something, that's a really cool effect. The game's just great, dude. The game's rad. Sorry, everyone who's sick of us talking about it, but I love this game.
Well, we're gonna finish it eventually. Scott and I are near the end. Bo
Yeah.
took a break.
Eventually, I pulled a Scott and started just playing something else completely.
Yeah, you did.
Like-
It felt like Scott. It felt like me.
I took a page out of your playbook and didn't play any Cyberpunk.
Sometimes this happens. It's all good. It's no skin off anyone's nose. We'll
And
talk
I
about
still
that. in a
haven't
sec.
played a single shred iota of the expansion.
I mean, you bought the expansion, right? So
I
it's
bought
there.
it on launch. I was excited. I've been playing for 2 weeks. Oh God, I'm sorry. What happened?
Somebody just blasted Bo with a sleepy ray.
Yeah,
He's just
okay.
in the middle. Oh
It's
no,
like
I'm
trying to
fading.
resist it.
It happened. Yeah, I wanted it to stop, but no, I've been played it for 2 weeks, and yeah. Anyways, I'll get to it.
All right, we'll get to that in a sec.
It's a busy week for me.
Let me tell you guys about a weird one that I found completely kind of randomly, and I just think is so cool. It's a game called Bang on Balls.
I'm so glad you're talking about this. This was nearly a Dear Martha simply because of its title.
It's a little weird named, but it's called Bang on Balls. Technically, it's Bang on Balls Chronicles, which implies other things are going to be coming. But basically,
about bang on balls.
you become a ball, and well, you don't become one. You just are one, and you move around kind of 3D platformer style, and you go to a place that's like there's a pirate area, and there's an area that's like a big fantasy area where it's like a lot of other balls that are like orcs and kings and wizards and all this sort of stuff. And your job is to fight these things if you want. There's some boss fights and things, but the overall goals aren't always that. It is the most densely packed collection game I've ever seen. As you can see there right now, I played a little pachinko for a second. Just about anything dumb you can do with a ball, this game tries. And it's beautiful. Looks really nice. Overwhelmingly positive reviews last I checked. And I was just so curious. I'm like, what are we doing here? So I got into it, and I played a ton, and I'm only in this one area so far, which is the fantasy area. And they only gave me 3 major goals to complete, but it is so easy to get sidetracked and do other shit while you're there that I just found myself like unlocking costumes and hats and weapons and shields and all this kind of stuff. And I don't even know what to compare this to. It's simple in a way because the movement is there's a dash, right? So you headbutt a lot. Your ball will like slam into guys. That's how you hurt them.
Isn't it bang on balls?
Yeah, bang on balls.
Does it count as a head if your entire body is a head when you call it just a ball butt?
I mean, it's a fair point. Like even when you're holding weapons or items, they're floating outside of you. They're not. You don't have arms. You don't have legs. And you headbutt a lot for damage. You run through. There's a lot of destructible environment stuff, and you attack those in the same way. You headbutt them, and they explode, or a door blows open, or whatever it may be. And it just feels like it doesn't have an end. It has the magical quality sometimes a video game will have of being so big. It's probably not that big, but it feels enormous, and it feels like somebody thought of every square inch of this thing as
4-player co-op.
It does. I haven't tried any of that, but it does have co-op. I can't imagine the mayhem. It must be crazy.
Was it like hub and then go do levels, or is it just like activity world?
It is. You have set goals. So some of the goals, like you go into an area and it'll say, here are your top 3 goals. One is to sink 3 ships. The one of them is to go rescue a princess, and the third one is some other thing. And then you have to kind of figure out how to get those 3 big jobs done. But while you're at it, there's a billion other things to do and get wrapped up in. You'll find a secret cave. You'll go in there and do a bunch of things that have nothing to do with the goal, but you had just as much fun as if it did. Apparently you go to space. I have not done that yet. There's all kinds of weird stuff in this game.
You've not been a ball in space just yet.
It's just the best way I could. Well, they even describe it this way. They call it a quirky, absolutely content-packed, I would agree, destructible open-world sandbox adventure with combat, platforming, and character customization, and collectathon scavenger hunt experience. Some people may hear that and go, ugh, I don't like games where I'm collecting all the time. I'm not into that anymore, or whatever. This game revels in it. So if you have any fondness for like the PS2 era platformers where it was all about getting all the stars or all the bits or all the things or whatever, this game celebrates that and does it in an extremely fun way. Very impressed so far. I think Bang on Balls is rad.
This looks super fun. This looks great.
Yeah, and it's pretty. Is the other thing. It's like an actually nice looking game. I think it's Unreal, maybe not 5, but it's Unreal, I think. And it looks just fantastic. If I had any complaint, it's that sometimes the camera will get wonky. But for the kind of game it is, it's not that surprising. And it's rarely ever like, it's never killed me or anything, but there have been times where I'm like, oh, I'm behind the wall. I don't want to be there. And you have to kind of adjust, but it's rad. And what is the price on this thing? $24.99, relatively cheap, Fun little indie game. Can't see what else. I can't wait to see what else they add to it because there's a lot they could do here. Oh my gosh, there's racing. I haven't seen this yet either. There's so much in this game I haven't seen. You can also do like there's a butt slam move, so you can take down bosses faster. There's like a dash move. All this. There's all this stuff. Super simple
3D platform, but multiplayer and a ton of different activities.
Yeah. It's a sandbox. Really is the best way to put it.
It just came out, I guess, on PC.
Yeah, brand new, pretty brand new. They're talking console and stuff, but that's not happening yet. It's very cool.
Well, I saw that it might have been out on PS4 at one time.
Oh, was it?
I mean, was it maybe a re-release of something that was already on console?
I thought it was brand new on PC and not anywhere else.
Well, maybe it's just brand new also on PS4. So,
the other one?
On the Steam page, the trailer I was watching at the end says coming October 5th, but it says PS4, Xbox One. So probably it's forward compatible, but launching for PS4.
Oh,
and Xbox
right.
One,
That must be it.
if I had to guess.
Which means it'll play on your PS5 and your Series X and stuff.
Oh, it does. It says it's smaller. Plays great. It's funny. It has it in bigger logos, PS4 and Xbox One, and then below it says plays great also on Xbox Series X and S and PS5.
Why'd they do that? That seems backwards.
I don't know. It's weird. I'll send you the screenshot so you see what I mean. That was just my confusion. I'm like, oh, is this an older game? But I think it's just forward thinking. If you look at the picture,
I'll check it out here.
You'll see what I mean.
Oh yeah, that is weird.
Yeah, I just hadn't seen that before. I was just a little thrown off, but
kind of buried the lead
looks
there.
cool.
Very weird. It's cool. It's someone in the review said this. Let's see, where do they put it? TLDR, this game is fun, pure fun, which is something that a lot of other games don't quite accomplish. I feel like that's a pretty good review. Someone else said this is Super Mario 64 with the country balls meme. Maybe. I mean, but it definitely has that feeling of like, I can't believe someone thought of this. Whoa, what am I doing now? Who did this? This is a game? Like, it's those kind of moments, which you don't usually get from a game like this. So, I don't know. I'm very impressed with it. It's out now. Check it out. Bang on Balls Chronicles. Okay, let's take a look at this. What else? Oh, I played a weird one. It went on sale. I needed a good chore core game. Do I have one? Do I have a thing for that? Where's chore core?
Work harder.
There it is.
What chore is this game? Hold on. Say the title and see if people can guess what chore this is based on.
Sticky Business. All right. Let your imaginations run wild. Sticky Business.
Bo, do you have a guess what chore Sticky Business would be about?
Is it in VR?
No, it's not.
Sticky Business it's a maple syrup farm where you have to tap the trees.
No.
My friend Mike likes to actually every year go and tap actual maple trees and make his own maple syrup. And maple syrup, very sticky.
Yeah, that's true. This game is not that though.
I'm gonna say a Cyberpunk BD floor mopper.
Even
BD floor mopper.
Even less correct.
That is an untapped video game idea. Like, I've browsed some adult games. I haven't seen that yet.
Well, there's what's the one where you got to clean up the viscera cleaner thing? What's that called?
Yeah. I mean, it would be like along those lines. I think it's called janitorial viscera clean. I know what you're talking about.
It's like in space, and you got to clean up where aliens have fought humans, and there's blood.
Viscera cleanup detail.
That's it. It was a pretty good game.
As far as I know, I've never seen an adult themed one. I guess
I don't think I want to play that.
Like one where you gotta wipe the windows, but maybe you can see some nudity.
I feel like that would be a great
the window.
It would be a great DLC for Power Wash Simulator for sure.
Oh yeah,
like Sex Hotel DLC.
Yeah, you can probably get away with that. Well, let me surprise you all with the truth. And the truth of the matter is, Sticky Business is about running your own custom sticker business. You run an internet. You have an internet website, and on that site, you put up for sale stickers that you create in the game, although it comes from all these little pieces of art, and then you tweak them, recolor them, stack them, mix and match them to create creative stickers. Then you print them on a printer you have in your home office. You fulfill orders, you pack up boxes, you make sure you get them in the mail before the end of the day so you still have time to ship them on time. You get bonuses
I laughed,
for that.
but my wife literally does this, and I've been the rube that had to help make sure it got out before the end of the day. So I've lived this.
Yeah,
I've been here.
It's like a real. In a lot of ways, it's the most realist of the chore cores I've ever done, because a lot of people do this very thing. I do some things similar to this, and so it's just a chill thing. It's got a day-night cycle. Your whole
Oh my god, dude! What the hell?
The whole thing is just shipping it. You can augment your shipping with like cool tinsel. That'll get you extra points, which means you'll get extra.
Yep, you got to throw in a little bonus, a little extra. Oh, there was a sticker they didn't ask for, but you printed extra, so it got included.
Yeah,
this is too much reality for me.
It's a lot of reality.
I can't do.
But I can see it triggering. This is the only game of its kind.
Oh yeah.
And this, like, opening, I know so many people in my life who are not like internet superstars, great with the internet, but who've opened Etsy stores or dreamed of opening a little online store. Like, this is a popular dream, especially for arts and crafty folk or creative people that would rather be instead of doing their job, would like to be making blankets or capes or stitchings. And I can think of like 15 people that would play the shit out of this.
Oh
game.
yeah.
My stepdaughter would love this. I should get it for my wife so this scratches the itch and I don't have to run to the mailbox more frequently.
It's on sale. It's only
$7. I'm almost thinking of showing it to my mom.
It's $8 is all. $7.99 right now. It's usually 10, so it's already cheap. But for $7 you get this game.
But it's not for me.
It's not for you. It's okay. You don't have to. You know.
Suppose like Bo will gladly buy the porn game that I read a Dear Martha review for, and just be like, "Oh, somebody's got to play it." Yeah. But sticky business, Bo's like, "Guys, if you see it in my profile, it wasn't for me.
It wasn't
okay,
me. It's my mom. Okay,
guys,
my mom." It is delightful, and also I should mention it's all very pixely, which I think helps it. The aesthetic really helps it. But it's very simple, fun to get into. The reviews are off the charts.
I like the aesthetics of it too. It's got a Microsoft Paint feel, but well done.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
And the little pieces are cute. They have a whole pack you can unlock right now for Halloween.
I wonder what engine this was made in. I'd love to know if it was made in Godot.
It feels like totally something maybe, right?
Yeah. I'm all about that Godot revolution.
Let's see.
Godot.
The only real complaint I have about it is the computer doesn't know how creative your design is. So
yeah,
you can kind of just put anything there you want. Like I made a donut with eyes on it, and that sold well. It's one of my best-selling stickers, but there's no reason for it. So you can spend as much or little time as you want designing your stickers. But if you really want to just get to the business of selling, you just put up whatever you want from the thing, and you unlock other stickers. You also level up stickers, so all the stickers have like star systems. So the more they sell, the more they level up the sticker.
Level up.
And then you get different materials. So some of them are shiny and iridescent. Some of your paper is like just flat. Some of it's like holographic kind of looking. I
imagine you got to do the thing where you maximize your profit by having some big stickers, but you got to have some little stickers, because then when you do a print, you can print more stickers on a single sheet.
Yep.
Get more mileage out of your sheet.
100% correct.
Yeah.
That is exactly right.
Been there.
Yep.
Been there.
Yeah, you know all about this. This is exactly that, and it's just done in a very cute, fun way. The mouse controls are great. Also plays good on controller. I think I prefer mouse, but whatever. Mileage may vary. Runs on the Steam Deck.
The sales on this must have been really good.
Yeah,
because I look at a small game, like it's a small game, but like this is a big success for an indie game. Like there's at least 2,000 overwhelmingly positive reviews.
Yeah, it's a lot.
At $10, it's $100,000, I believe. Yeah, I think
that's no small amount of money, and they did all right.
Wait, no, that's $10,000.
No, hold on, $10 a piece, 10 times.
Yeah. Sorry, it's not as big as I thought it was.
10 times 2,000? Hold on.
I did math wrong.
Wait, that's not right, though.
1,000 times $10 is 10,000.
Yeah, but what's 2,000? 20,000. Because there's 2,000 total if you look at the recent and then overall.
Yeah, I mean, let's round to 2,000 because there could be some negatives in there. They didn't refund it.
And that's just the people who are reviewing it, not everyone.
I mean, I don't want to make assertions without knowing the full thing, but still, I think this is a pretty successful little indie game. It's been out for a little while.
Oh, and you can buy, by the way, you can buy candy and then put extra candy in there. So, John, this may be familiar as well. Like you're like, oh, they like a little extra little, I don't know.
We never did candy. What was it? There was something that we were putting in. I think it might have just been a bonus sticker. It might have been just like a bonus, like little piece of art that we included with our stickers. That was just like a thank you.
Yeah.
Or she also, I got commissioned to do a birthday card for someone, like a custom Warcraft birthday card. There's a picture of an orc sitting on a log. And it just said, "Horde, it was your birthday."
Oh my Lord.
Yep.
Man.
And I didn't get paid for this. So I was like, I just always had the piece of art. And I was like, well, it's not like the person who commissioned me to do this is going to get mad. They never paid me for the damn thing. So I just let my wife turn it into a card and she sold it and like sold a few of them. We didn't make a ton of money off of it, but she sold a few. And so I think she would include stickers whenever we sent out one of those cards.
Yeah. And I shouldn't act like I would be above this Horde, it was your birthday. I would do that.
Horde, it was your birthday. Yeah, it's good.
It's pretty good. In fact, you're making me want to make it.
Their website's pretty
Well, yeah,
great.
I mean, you're going to draw a much better orc than me. Get on. Feel free.
Let's get on this.
Do it. You'll be a lot more successful than my work. I looked at it, was like, what a piece of shit. I don't blame him for not paying me for this. So, I say more power to you. Take my pun and run with it.
You take my pun and run. I like that. That sounds like a fun rhyming thing. Anyway, it's cool. Check it out. It is available now. $8 is all in the US anyway for Sticky Business. And that's my
not a porn game.
No, that's officially my chore core game of the week though. Not that I have them every week, but anyway. The other game I played a bunch of, which surprised me because I just got in a weird mood. I think it's this shooter stuff I've been doing, just playing old shooters, new shooters, everything in between, intentionally retro shooters, Proteus, Bolt Gunner, all that crap. And I got in the mood to just poke into Rage 2 again. And I owned it, so I was like, well, let's just get in there. I didn't get very far the first time. I remember the mixed reviews and stuff just kind of put me off of it. But at the end of the day, it actually wasn't that mixed. It was more positive than negative. And the people that had negatives were actually things I like. I love a thing where it's like, here's a base on the way to my objective. It is full of crazy people and chests that I need to find and stuff I need to check off a list. I'm going to go wipe out that camp and check all that shit off a list. And then I'm going to get in my car and I'm going to do it again. I like that. That's my kind of repetition in open world games. And I did not give that game a fair shake when I played it the first time. Having a way good time in it. It's great. I think Rage 2 is worth people's time. I will also say it's a lot better than Rage 1. Rage 1 was kind of a disappointment in about 300 ways. Rage 2 is a better, more fully formed game. And I also think there must be something in the water at Avalanche Studios that makes games that I want to play. Because they also made the Mad Max open world game, which I loved and 100%ed that damn thing. I did a more core week about Rage 2. Or more core this week about Rage 2 because I was having so much fun in it. So
I watched it and I was baffled.
Wait, why? Why are you baffled?
Because I don't want it. So like you said it was better than you thought.
Yeah.
I haven't played it again recently.
Yeah.
I can't say for sure if it's better than what I remember from when I played it.
Yeah.
But I played more Rage 1 than I played Rage 2 because I got very uninterested in Rage 2 very quickly and uninstalled it.
Yeah.
I think I refunded it.
Did you?
I think I think this was a refunded game. So I don't know. I don't know if I want to give it another shot. I heard you say it and I was like, at first I thought you were talking about the first Rage and I was like, it's weird that Scott played that. And then I remembered, oh no, he's talking about Rage 2. Oh yeah, Rage 2 was a game that existed. And then I went, I played that game for like an hour, if that, and was like, this game absolutely sucks.
Yeah.
I'm refunding this thing. And I don't refund many games. Like I have plenty of games that I've only spent an hour in. And I just went, gotta keep it. Maybe one day I'll play it. I think this one was a refund. I really hated Rage 2.
Yeah. See, that's weird.
I spent your entire video going,
it's baffling.
Is it worth it being right to give it another try? Because your whole premise is give it another try. It's better than you remember. And I really like being right about my opinion on video games.
Right.
And I don't think Rage 2 is very good, but I feel like unless I play it again, I just have to accept that no, it's actually a good game and I was wrong.
Well, the one part the indisputable part for me is the shooting is insanely good. They did not scrimp on that. They made a great shooting game. So if you like good, tight shooting controls and guns that feel good and all that, this game doesn't disappoint in that regard. Neither did Rage 1 for that matter. Where people get hung up is they just don't like the barren wasteland open world. They think it's a little, pointless. But I don't. I like it. I like finding a couple of weirdo, war boy looking dudes out in the middle of nowhere doing some dark shit, and I can come interrupt it and blow them up and then find out, ooh, they had a bunch of money here, so now I got some cash. Like, the open world trappings are 100% there, and maybe they're a little tired for a lot of people, but I really like that stuff. And this game does that and does it pretty well. You collect all these
some
cars.
good levels, if I remember correctly, and some good shooting. Like,
yeah,
the open world feels more like a formality than anything else, but it's a cool one. Like, I liked it. I remember playing it.
Yeah, it's a cool game. And it's on Game Pass, John. You don't have to spend a dime for it. Just get it. It's a Bethesda joint, Bethesda id Software thing that's now part of Game Pass, and so you don't even have to buy it.
Yeah, we'll see. I think the biggest problem going against it right now is this, and this is something I actually think, and I really admire that you can do this, Scott, because I cannot for the life of me. You can go from playing games that do something extremely well, to games that are not as good, and be like, no, I'll just judge it on its own merits.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's its own thing. I'll try it. If I tried to go from Cyberpunk to Rage 2, I am immediately drawing one-to-one comparisons. I cannot help it. I cannot break away from it and go, these games came out nowhere near each other. These things were not trying to be one another. These things should not be compared directly. I'm going to sit down and go, how does this compare to the last experience that I had in video gaming? And I don't think it's going to end up in a good place for me based on how I feel about Cyberpunk. I think I need a palate cleanser before I could come in and judge this on its own merits.
Yeah. I mean, the good news, or the good thing, actually, they only came out about 6 months apart, funny enough.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
2019, 2020. But then again,
Did this come out near when Fury Road came out, or was this a ways after?
No, this was long after. So this is 2019. Fury Road came out in 2015, so a long time. So Avalanche's game before this was the Mad Max game, and that came out the year Fury Road did. This was just 2019, right before the new consoles hit that holiday. And I guess it was the next holiday, and Cyberpunk was 6 months later or something like that.
I guess I was just curious, sometimes I think Cyberpunk actually suffered from this. Sometimes something will come out in the similar genre to something iconic. Cyberpunk came out very close, or at least relatively speaking, to the new Blade Runner movie.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think a lot of people went into Cyberpunk with visions of Blade Runner in their head.
Yeah.
And then that wasn't met. And I was just curious, I'm trying to figure out, I didn't play it for very long. I put it out of my head. I have no idea what my complaints about this game were. I just remember not liking it. And I'm trying to remember for the life of me why I didn't like this video
Well,
game.
the first time I pushed it off, I think is because I wanted it so badly to be third person and play more like the Mad Max game did from the same developer, and it didn't, and that put me off. And I was like, I don't want to play a first person open world game. What's this about? I don't want to do this. I remember having that attitude about it, and now I'm kind of swung the other way, partly because of, honestly, Cyberpunk did the same thing to me when it first came out. I was like, I don't want to play this in first person. The Witcher was third person. What are they doing over there at CD Projekt Red? And it kind of bugged me, but I've kind of turned a corner on that. I'm fine with that now. And I think that the newer playthrough of Cyberpunk helped me get over that. So me getting in here and going, all right, we're shooting again, just felt right. And, this game doesn't have a soul in the way that Cyberpunk or even games like, Starfield or, certainly not Baldur's Gate. So these games have souls to them, right? They're deep and whatever. This isn't that. This is a lot more surfacey stuff. Sam Riegel's your character. He does a great job. I don't know who the girl is. I don't play girls, but I could, I suppose.
That was so.
I didn't need to say it. Is what I.
I feel like that should just be clipped and played out of context constantly.
I just don't. I don't know. When I play video games, if there's a male choice, I make it. If it's a female, if it's Lara Croft, fine, I'm in. That's all there is. There's no Larry Croft, so that's what I play. But when I'm playing MMOs or anything else where I get a choice, I'm always a dude. Anyway, except for V, my first run through of Cyberpunk was the girl.
Well, and Cassandra.
And Cassandra. Oh my gosh, yeah.
The superior protagonist of Assassin's Creed.
That's true. Once in a while, something will be so obvious the choice, right, that you can't go any other way. That's what she was for sure. But anyway, it is.
Are those the only two exceptions, though?
No, probably more. I'm trying to think.
I'm like,
I've never played an MMO where I wasn't a dude. I never played ladies. It's not that I don't have anything against it. It's totally fine. In fact, I'm really glad the option's there. I just don't have.
I sort of get it. I remember I got introduced to the notion of playing ladies in PlanetSide because they were harder to hit due to them glitching. But I played. I was the same before, but then you're like, oh, you're harder to hit if you play a girl.
Is that
you
true?
Float up to the ceiling a little. Yeah. They glitch out. The female models would glitch out. That's
weird.
That's why the min maxers would play female characters.
That's super interesting. Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I mean, we sound judgy, but the truth is you probably have more exceptions for playing as a female character when given the choice than I do for playing a male character when given the choice.
That's true, right? Probably. I mean, I'm trying to think of a good example of this for you.
I don't know if I have one. I genuinely don't.
If you can be a lady, you'll pick it.
I usually am.
Yeah, and if you can't be a lady, if it's just, it's Duke Nukem, then you're just Duke Nukem and it's fine.
Yeah. I'm sure there are, but I'd have to really give this serious. Like, we came up with 2 examples for you immediately.
Yeah.
I don't have any immediate examples.
Yeah, Cassandra always wins out.
I played Dude V on my first playthrough.
Oh, you were Dude V? Okay. And I did Lady V because I wanted to... Actually, I kind of wanted to kick against my instinct, which is to do the guy. Don't take that out of context.
Clip that one too.
Clip that one out. but that my instinct is to play the male character, and in that case, I was like, you know what, let's do something different. And she was great.
I wasn't aware. I too was not aware of Judy's preferences, and I was sadly rejected. And I went, what?
Oh yeah, Judy. I'm still thinking about Judy this week.
I didn't know.
Well, anyway, Rage 2 worth, I think, playing. I like it, and it's just it's feeding into that whole like, I just want to shoot shit and have it feel good, and jumping around and getting extra abilities and slotting in mods and
real gray area to the bad guys either. Like Cyberpunk's always like, this is a breathing person. Should you kill them?
Mm-hmm.
Like sometimes I non-lethal people, and I'm like. Or a non-lethal people because I'm like, I don't want to kill them, and I'm like, they're just fictional. But it's like, nope, it's a role-playing world. Like,
right?
There's something to be said about switching to a game where it's just like, yep, you can kill everybody. It's fine.
Yeah, because
I am so brutal in Cyberpunk. I had somebody ask me again on Discord. Someone reached out and they said, "Are you doing a passive playthrough on Cyberpunk?" And immediately, just a vision of how I play that game came into my mind, where I've got mantis blades out, I'm stabbing people in the head and decapitating them, and this is maybe too far, but sometimes when I'm looting, if I see the person on the ground going, I'll pull out the pistol and shoot him.
Oh man, I'll hit him.
Supposed to do that. I've done it too.
Okay. All right.
So the thing about, first of all, unlike some games that reward pacifism, I don't even think there's an achievement.
No.
The pacifism is kind of not that. And also, if you're really role-playing in this world, are you really going to be pacifist? There's guns and vending machines. Like, you are...
This is a world
you
where
are a
people
product
die.
of this jungle.
Yeah.
There's no way this game even has... people do a peaceful run through something. Like in Miss Pandaria, somebody reached level cap with a panda without hurting anyone. Like, that was the goal.
Bo and I both did it in... what was it? Deus Ex?
Oh, Deus Ex, right? That game actually had a path for that. But this game Cyberpunk seems impossible to do that with.
No, well, you can't. Even the cutscene, that part of the game, they don't let you play the tutorial.
Yeah,
you shoot people in there. Like,
yeah,
like it's not like you don't have blood on your hands and you have something. It's like you actually depending on your playthrough where you start, it's implied, at least in the Corpo one, that you've hurt or killed people, even if not directly. So, yeah, the non-lethal bit is it's a little weird to include non-lethal unless you are non-lethaling because keeping them alive for later is important. But I find, because even Baldur's Gate's like that, you can non-lethal in that game, and it's like, to what end? They're effectively dead.
For
like,
what? Yeah, they just
very
lay
few
there.
characters come back. If you non-lethal someone, I don't know. There might be some, but there's very slim chance you'll ever see the characters again. Typically, I think.
Well, here's what I'll do. I'll non-lethally take down a group of people in the street. They'll all be laying there, rolling around, going, like John was saying. I like to come up and pistol whip them, not because I want to kill them, not because I want to end it, none of that.
That's what it does.
I do it because the character models often, not every time, but often will glitch out and freak out in spectacular ways when you gun butt them. So like they'll be laying there looking like normal, and I'll go bonk, and that body will go just like fly all over the place.
Yeah.
There'll be like money and paper going everywhere. Like I love that, so that's why I do it.
Speaking of that, I discovered I want to call it a bug. But I have a feeling that the conversation went like this in CD Projekt Red. They gathered around a table of sorts, and someone went, we got a bug in the game. Turns out, if you do a big dash attack with the Mantis Blades, might work with swords too, I don't know. I've only ever done it with the Mantis Blades.
Yeah.
And you decapitate someone and catch them completely unawares, they stay in whatever animation they were in for a period of time before they fall over dead eventually. And someone went, should we fix that?
No, and they said no.
And then a lot of people went, no, I think this might be a feature, not a bug. And
I love it.
Let me tell you, the first time it happened to me, I was like, the violence in Cyberpunk is so over the top that you're like, you kind of become immune to it. But I dashed in and decapitated someone and then went through, fought all the bad guys, turned around, and there was just a body like walking around. And I was like, it shocked me. I was like, just this headless body wandering around. And then I walked up to it and I was like, what's going on? And then all of a sudden it just goes, ugh, and falls over.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's gross. That's disgusting. And then I noticed it started and I was like, was that a bug or was that supposed to be like, it didn't look good enough to be intentional, but also that was very effective. And then I started noticing it as I used my Mantis Blades more in very broken ways.
Yeah.
Like somebody changing a tire and I decapitate them and they just be sitting there going through the whole tire change animation. And then the one I shared with you guys,
oh my gosh,
which was I ran in, decapitated someone, got in a big fight, turned around, and there was a body, a seemingly female body, standing up, holding an invisible penis, urinating on the ground.
Yep. Just standing
and just continuing a headless urinating body, continuing to stand there holding an invisible penis, urinating on the ground for a period of time. And I did. I went into camera mode. I took a photo next to it and sent it to you guys. It was just like, great game. This is a fantastic video game.
Best game of the year. This happens a lot in Red Dead 2. You can shoot people's faces off or the whole head off with a shotgun. And oftentimes they will not do what they're supposed to do right away. So they'll just kind of walk around and kind of look at you with no head and then eventually crumble and die. So maybe that's just an open world jank thing, but I love it. Big fan.
It's too good to fix. Like, I feel like the game would be less if you took it out, even though it is so janky. The only other one that I've seen that can compare to the urinating headless body was there was a guy who was, I guess, when I killed him, partying and like firing a gun into the air. Well, when he died, the gun fell out of his hand, but he was still doing the animation, so he's still going, and looked like he's squeezing a trigger, but they kept the sound effect for the gun shooting. So it's a headless body pretending to shoot a machine gun into the air. You hear machine gun noises, but there's no gun in his hand.
Love it.
And I was like, oh my gosh, this is so fun.
This
is the best.
That's a great place for it. The chaos. When the game isn't broke, like broken, those bits of jank almost add to the world, and it's hard to explain why. It's weird.
Yeah.
That's what I
just
played
say
this
it's
week.
these Max Tech, Mantis blades I got are real good.
They're real good. I poked around a couple other things. Papers, Please, I mentioned earlier. Still playing a little of Medieval here and there on my Steam Deck, and still poking around in Mirage, which I will probably play more of this weekend because I just need to sit down and spend some time with that new Assassin's Creed game. I'm not very far, so I want to play more.
You gotta play Return of the Obra Dinn.
Oh, that's the other thing.
Yeah, keep going to Papers, Please, and I'm always excited because it's good. But
I
go to
love
his next
Papers,
game.
Please so much.
Go to his next game. Fall in love with his next game too.
Yeah, but once you've done that one, it doesn't have the replayability that Papers, Please does. Because Papers,
Well, that
Please
doesn't mean you don't play it once.
Look, take your logic.
He got you there, Scott. He's got you there.
Yeah, he got me there. John, let's throw to you now. WWE 2K23 Frog Wrestling update. Beep, 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 beep. You did something different this week, right?
A little bit. I tried something new. I did a YouTube video, same place as all the other Frog Wrestling VODs go, Craftless Rogue on YouTube.
Yep.
And I did a Pond News update because it turns out that setting up the matches, setting up the betting for Twitch chat, using channel points before anybody gets like weird about betting, setting up the stories, doing the commentary, it's all a lot to juggle, and having a place to just go, hey, here's why people are fighting, here's what happened, here's rule changes, stuff like that is really beneficial. So every week now, I haven't decided what day. This week it was literally the night before, but I'm hoping to divide it a little more evenly. I just want to be able to have a place where we just feature something, and my hope is that one day I can have, I can say, Scott, you want to send me a promo trash talking Tom Merritt or something, and you can send it and we can highlight it on that. And that will be where that sort of stuff lives.
Totally down for this.
We can
by the
do
way.
that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So I think that stuff would be really, really cool. I want it to grow. This week was more of a, just sort of piss or get off the pot kind of mentality of like, oh, it's tomorrow. If I'm going to do this video, I need to just do it. So I'm going to just do it. It was a little rough. And we'll just see what it turns into. But yeah, another great week of Frog Wrestling. Had 2 championship matches. We're still trying to get the belts off of WWE wrestlers who keep interfering with matches.
Yeah.
And we are not being very successful at it. And more WWE wrestlers seem to interfere every day. So it's mad chaos, but
you can't turn
Scott,
that off, right? It's the thing the game does, forces it on you. You can't change that, right? Or can you?
I think there's a setting where I can prevent it, but it prevents a couple other things that I don't want to necessarily prevent. So
okay.
I can probably turn it down to try and prevent it from happening as much. But yeah, it was a good night. Scott, you fought Brian Ibbett. I thought he was going to beat you. Now, it wasn't a title match, so you weren't in any danger of losing your belt. But as far as recent attempts to defeat you, he got the closest of anybody.
Okay.
He had a real run. He did some major devastating moves to you. He went to hit you with his finisher, the Coverville, and you reversed it at the last second, and then you just built up momentum and buried him after it. But I thought Ibbett was going to do it. I thought he was going to take you down.
Damn. Sounds like a close
Didn't
call.
quite happen.
All right. Well, he wants to take me. Good luck. I had a thought about this game that I hadn't thought of before, and I don't know why I didn't think of this. But Bo, you always talked about how it's relatively easy for people to pull models out of other games and then use them in VR chat as an avatar. Is it possible to get into this thing and pull out like your wrestler model, and you can be that guy, and I could be my jorts guy? You know what I mean?
I wouldn't know the A to Z, but yeah, is there a modding community around this game?
I assume.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think there is. Yeah.
It probably is.
So if there's a method, I probably sort of explore there because I know for Heroes I extracted all the wave files using something called Cask Viewer. No idea, but it takes Blizzard games and extracts resources from them. You might be able to get the model file through something like that, some methodology that's out there on a Reddit or place, a forum, GitHub, whatever. And then port it, I guess, into Blender, save it to some Unity compatible thing, and then, it's in VR chat. So I'm sure that's the case, except you couldn't rely on someone else to do it because These are custom designed by wrestling commissioner John Jagger himself. So.
Sure.
But yes, in theory, we could all appear if someone could help us with that, we could all appear in VR chat with our own avatar. So
I would love that. I think that'd be so cool. I would go in there and do that. According to Mod Nexus, there are only 3 mods currently in
really
development.
though, it's just you and jorts.
Well, that's true. That's true. I would be boring.
It's not like you should live out your fantasy in VR chat. It was your fantasy to just be you and
just
jorts,
be me.
You know?
Well, I always pick the guy. No, I'm saying like, what if I'm trying to think which characters would work best. Yours would be great because you got the VR helmet and you're ridiculous looking.
Bose would be good in VR chat because he would look like a guy in VR, which I think is funny. Like just a guy who looks like him wearing a VR headset is actually kind of funny.
And who's Goku? Is that
that's Ben.
That's Ben. So Ben's is pretty good. I mean, I just think there's some in here that could have some mileage in there. But you're right. I'd just look like Jort's guy. Nobody wants that in their life. Not in VR. Oh my gosh, he really took air. Anyway, go check it out. Craftless Rogue on YouTube, as John mentioned. Always fun time. What else did you play this week?
I played some demos this week. I was planning on playing more. I didn't get to it, but I played 2 demos this week that I think are worth mentioning. They are part of the Steam Next Fest, which is we're in the middle of. I think we're coming up on the tail end of at this point. And the 2 demos I played, the first was Deep Rock Galactic Survivor. So this is the Vampire Survivors like game in the Deep Rock Galactic universe, in the Deep Rock Galactic style.
Yeah.
And I'm here to tell you this game is pretty rad.
Dang it.
I think this game is pretty cool. It is basically Vampire Survivors. You control your character. You walk around. It does the targeting automatically for you. But there is some elements to kind of build up for people like Scott that want something a little more than moving in a circle and picking up XP.
Yeah.
And that is that you can mine in this game. And you are also expected to mine while you are playing the game. So whenever you get real close to walls and things, your dwarf will start pickaxing through the wall. And sometimes there's minerals and currency and health pickups and stuff like that in there. It's also a very good way that you can use to kind of avoid enemies to a degree because, if their horde is bearing down on you, you might be able to cut through a wall real quick to get away from them. And it's pretty cool. I would say if there's one thing that I didn't love about it, now granted, I played 1 match of it. This could very easily change as the game gets bigger, and this is a demo. This is going to be universally true about all the games. Like, they make it very clear. These are all works in progress. There's lots of things that can change by the time it comes out. I didn't think the power-ups were that exciting. Vampire Survivors had a big variety of weapons, lots of different power-ups, lots of different ways to make builds really interesting. And for the most part, it just sort of came down to, does your weapon shoot harder? Does it shoot faster? What's your reload speed? Like kind of generic stuff that, while welcome, there wasn't really much of a like, oh, this popped up and I was really excited. It was more of a rarity thing. Like, oh, I got a purple reload instead of a gray reload. So that's cooler.
Yeah.
But I do think the mining makes for a really interesting mechanic to be mixed in. I also think that like this game looks really good, like the graphics on it are really good, but it also maybe explains why I think it's important that these games kind of look bad because you pick these cool looking guns and you're like, yeah, look at that, a cool machine gun, a cool shotgun, and the bullets just sort of shoot arbitrarily out of your dwarf.
Yeah.
And I was like, doesn't look very cool. But that's what all these games do.
Yeah.
But I feel like by looking better, the expectation suddenly was there. I was like, I kind of want to see him shooting a gun or something. But gameplay wise, this is really, really a fun game. And like this, I have not been that interested in other
survivors like
games.
Yeah.
most of them that I've played have just been like, all right, well, yeah, I'd rather go back to Vampire Survivors. This is the first one that I'm excited kind of on its own merits. I think this one might have some secret sauce in it.
You
So
liked Halls of Torment, right? You were okay with that.
Oh,
one.
I did. That's
Yeah.
true. I did like Halls of Torment a lot. I thought that one was really good too.
Oh, it even has the countdown where you got to get the F out of there and get on your ship and get out of there.
Yeah, so once you defeat a boss or make progression to a certain point, you do get an evac order. Although it's not really evac, it actually is going to take you lower to another level.
Okay.
And then it gives you a big upgrade between the levels, and then it gets more challenging. So it gives you kind of a window where you can do some upgrading and, buy some stuff, spend some currency, because you are picking up minerals that you can spend on a run. And you can do a little healing there if you want to spend your money there. And then you progress further until you take out, a boss elite, and then the evacuation thing comes again.
And is it the one class for the demo? Not all the...
Yeah, in the
doors?
demo, it's just one class.
Okay.
There's a lot of stuff not in the demo. So that's why I'm kind of hesitant to be too critical of what's not there, because there's definitely a lot not there in the demo.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to this. When's this come out? Like, what's the date? Do we know? Still says 2013 on their page, but I don't know if anyone...
I do not know.
Yeah, because
I don't know.
I'll play this into the night.
It's very cool.
Yeah.
I like the mining added to it. Like, it's kind of fun to do. Kind of gives you another little something to focus on, which also, that can be a good thing and a bad thing. The evacuation thing is really cool because you can be, feeling like, I got a real good strategy here. There's explosive enemies, so you can feel like, I'm going to use these explosive enemies to just take out a whole bunch of stuff. Then all of a sudden they're like, mission's ending, you need to evac. And all of a sudden you've been setting up something that now you have to get through to get out of there. And you're like, this isn't good.
Yeah.
So I think this is great. I think this is a great one of these games.
That's awesome. Oh, and I was wrong. It's Q1 2024. We got a ways. So not right away. It'll be early next year. Yeah. You also played the RoboCop Rogue City demo. What'd you think of that?
Snap.
I did.
This thing went from 0 to I can't wait in record time this year. I'm so excited about it. Oh my gosh. Anyway, go ahead.
Okay, this game is really weird. Is this a cool RoboCop game that you didn't expect was going to get made? Yes, 100%. Mm-hmm. I have a lot of weird feelings about this game, though, at the same time. Just to be clear, there are parts of this game where, like, it's so spot on. Like, sometimes this game looks next gen. And sometimes this game looks like, what is it? This should be a budget title.
Yeah.
And I have a hard time reconciling the two because, again, sometimes it feels like, it's firing on all cylinders. It looks amazing. It sounds incredible. I can't believe they're nailing this. And then all of a sudden they get to something else and you're like, this is like shit. What is this? And I'll give you, okay, let me just kind of talk my way through the demo. Cause like I said, I have a bunch of mixed feelings about this. Overall, we'll start with this. If you like RoboCop, I think this is probably a worthy game to purchase. I think you'll have a good time with it. I think there's a lot to like there. I think I'm probably going to pre-order and buy this game.
Yeah.
I'll just, not that you should pre-order it. I'm tempted
You're weird
for
that
stupid.
way. Yeah.
I'm tempted for stupid reasons.
Right.
If you pre-order, you get the dumb blue-looking RoboCop skin, and I don't even like it. But I was like, I kind of want it though. Anyway, let's start at the beginning. So this actually opens much like I had talked about when we were mentioning this. That it opens with pretend news broadcast, right? And it's got the guy from RoboCop doing the pretend newscast. And I was like, cool, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And then it cuts to like, we talked to the head of OCP, and it cuts to a guy that looks exactly like
Ronnie Cox,
the dude from not Ronnie Cox, the other guy, the old man.
Oh, the old what's your name? What's your name, officer?
Yes, the guy who asks, "What's your name?"
Yeah.
It cuts to that guy, and it looks just like him. It's a good likeness of him, and then he goes, "Oh, we at OCP feel this way about it." And I was like, the hell voice was that? He sounds Canadian. Yeah. What's going on? Yeah. I don't know if that actor's still alive, but they did not get a sound alike. I'll tell you that much. They got, I didn't know Crofton was doing voice work, but he jumped in there. Suddenly he's doing the voice of the old man from RoboCop.
That's great.
It was weird and jarring, and that's kind of been my experience with this game, is like amazing moments of like, oh man, I love RoboCop so much, to then all of a sudden something really jarring. When you're controlling RoboCop, he moves at a fast enough pace that you're not like pulling your hair out, if I had it.
Right.
But not accurately, like he's not accurately slow, but you don't feel like you're sprinting either.
Yeah, you feel like you feel like a fridge, just kind of clomping at a faster pace than he would in the movies, but a video game needs you a little bit faster, and it's just about right. For my demo play, that felt good to me. You know? Because I felt big and menacing and heavy, and I'd come into a room and grab a dude and throw him real hard against a wall, and it felt meaty. Like, the combat is pretty great.
Yeah, and when you aim down sights, it does the little targeting, around everything, and it looks cool and it sounds cool. And they got what's his name to actually do the voice of RoboCop. If it's not him,
it is. That's Peter Weller.
It sounds exactly like. Okay,
yeah.
I was gonna say I heard him recently. I mean, he's been in a lot of stuff post RoboCop. I've heard a lot of him, and it sounds exactly like him. So.
Yeah.
He sounds great, but every now and then you just run into people where it's like, please tell me this is temporary voice acting. Like, you went to the trouble to model it after the actual actors, but then they sound nothing like it. Like Officer Lewis, I don't know if it's actually her. It sounds like Liara from Mass Effect.
Yeah.
And I think that might be who's doing it. But she sounds enough like Officer Lewis that I think it's fine.
Yeah, it works fine.
But then you get to the police desk sergeant or whatever, and it seems like they didn't even try. Or actually, I'll tell you, the guy, when you walk up to the news station, it's very clearly based on a guy from the movie that was in it, and he was another one where he was just like, "Hey, Robo, what's going on?" And it's like, that's not the voice. You modeled the face, but not the voice.
Maybe the demo's different than the final piece. I don't know. That seems like
it might be, and that's why I don't want to be like, don't buy this game. They sound weird. Because one, that's a weird reason not to buy a game, and two, it could change. This is a demo.
Yeah.
The game is weirdly deep. You get to a point where like it goes, all right, time to level up RoboCop. You're like, oh, it pulls up a full like skill tree menu for RoboCop and like a lot of stats. You wouldn't think RoboCop has so much stats, but you're sitting there, you're like, do I want to put points in focus or psychology, or do I want to put points in weapon handling?
You can do therapy and
basically, you know, and so basically
because you kind of talk down criminals, right?
Yeah, so basically this game does have dialogue trees and choices, and if you put points in his psychology tree or whatever it is, you will have more dialogue options. Eventually, if you power it up enough, highlighted best dialogue options. And I got to experience a little bit of this, and maybe this is the perfect example of what I love and hate about this demo. There was a mission where I was going to do the shooting range, which is where it told me to go, but I accidentally wound up back in the main part of the office. and there was a guy at the desk and a long line of criminals, or people, I should say. They're not necessarily criminals, at the desk waiting to be helped. And he's like, there's just way too many people here. Robo, can you help work the desk for me? And I was like, this is going to be comedy gold. This is going to be, I was so excited for this moment. And RoboCop's like, sure. And he goes walking up and stands at the desk, and a line of 3 people get in front of him. And I was like, oh, this is going to be so good. This is going to be so good. And then the first guy comes up and he's like, you need to tell my neighbors to mellow out. They're upset because whenever I walk my dog, they just get real irate. And then RoboCop goes, what is your dog's name? And he goes, I named him Fire because I thought that would be a funny name for a dog. Sometimes he runs away, so I have to walk through the neighborhood going, Fire! Fire! And I don't know why my neighbors are all mad at me. And I went,
oh my gosh, that's terrible.
This is awful.
That's a bad
And
joke.
so I basically like let that guy go with a warning. It was like, do you want to write him a ticket for disturbing the
Didn't shoot
peace,
him?
or do you want to let him go? And I was like immediately deflated by this because I thought that this was going to be such a fun little setup to RoboCop. Like, because you can see the comedy of it. Like, Robot Man has to work the desk dealing with people. This is going to be good. And so far, a letdown. The next guy comes up and he goes, yeah, I heard there was a reward for a wanted criminal in the city. Can I collect that reward? And RoboCop's like, I need more information. And he goes, well, I'm the criminal you're looking for. I'm turning myself in. Do I still get the reward? And RoboCop goes, no. And books him. And that was kind of funny.
Yeah.
That was getting there. That was a little bit, as a baby step in the direction that I was looking for.
Sure.
And then the third person comes up and is like, Robo, my son is missing, and I haven't seen him in 2 days. And he goes, how old is your son? Well, he's 24, but it's never been this long since I've heard from him. And your choice is like, you can't file a missing persons report until they've been gone for 72 hours, or I need more information. So I said, please give me more information. And she goes, his name's da 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 da. And RoboCop looks down, he types in a little computer, and he goes, your son was reported murdered 2 hours ago.
That was
And
it.
she goes, oh my God. And she starts crying. And then it goes, mission complete, leveled up. And I was like,
I'm kind of
sounds
coming
awesome.
around. I'm coming around on
I
this.
hope
I
that's
was
not the
like-
last time you have to work the desk. I hope it's like Papers, Please, where you got to do a lot of that.
Yeah, right? That sounds
it
like
was
fun.
one of those things where I had such high hopes for this moment, and you can see what they were going for, and it just didn't quite reach it. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't what you hoped it would be. And that's kind of been my experience. Like, this game is not bad. The shooting is fun. The explosions are fun. It's extraordinarily gory. Like, when you shoot someone
When you
in the
described
head,
it, though, it sounded pretty awesome. I
Yeah.
don't know.
like, I think there's something here. I think this game might end up being pretty good. I don't think this game is $70 good.
Yeah.
I think this game is like, and I think this actually might be where it's priced. This is a slightly discounted triple, like this is a double A, single A, whatever you want to call it. This isn't a triple A game.
Yeah, it's
Is it,
priced.
is it double A or triple B? Like, how do you?
Oh yeah, good point. I mean, it's priced at
Yeah.
$49. I don't know what the price is, but $49.
$64.99 Canadian. Sounds, that's,
It's not cheap, but it's not, $70.
I
like here.
think that's about where this game is. Do not go in expecting this game to be the next huge thing. But this
I mean,
game
there's
is a
concerning
lot
things,
deeper
right?
and more interesting than I expected.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
I
excited.
will just say there is one major missed opportunity, and I
Mm.
hope that there's time to right this wrong.
Okay.
So, in the game, while you're running around shooting people, you can collect evidence of crime.
There's a
And-
collection aspect. Sweet.
And in this universe, it's I don't know where it takes place in the timeline. Officer Lewis is there. She dies in RoboCop 3. Spoilers. But she's in the game, so presumably before 3. I don't know if it's supposed to take place after 2 or before 2 or what, but Nuke, the drug from RoboCop 2, is all over the game.
Sweet.
And whenever I see Nuke, I just hear RoboCop's voice in my head going, Nuke, Nuke. And every time I pick up Nuke, I want him to say it.
Yeah.
Please, if there's someone on the development team, make it a toggleable option, because I know not everybody is going to want this feature. But I want every time RoboCop picks up Nuke for him to go, Nuke. Every
Nuke
single
Sky
one.
Snorter.
Yeah. Nuke Sky Snorter. That's amazing.
Nuke Sky. Well, it makes me think of Luke Skywalker, but it's Nuke Skywalker.
So they're not telling the story of the first movie again, right? This is a prequel.
This is its own.
I was reading the description. It takes place between 2 and 3.
Okay.
Takes place between 2 and 3. Okay, so this is post Kane. We're not gonna be walking around going, "Where's Kane?"
Where's Kane?
But I do want him to go Nuke every time, and you pick up a lot of it too. So just so you know, yes, I am asking for 100% of the time. Anytime I pick up Nuke, I want him to just say it.
And RoboCop 3, I think, didn't have Weller. Somebody else did the RoboCop.
Yeah.
So this would make sense.
It's best to pretend 3 didn't happen.
You know, 3's
It's honestly
so bad.
best to pretend 2 didn't happen, but there's enough like weird things in 2 that I'm kind of okay with. Like I said, I want him to say Nuke every time he picks up Nuke.
2 clears the bar. 2 clears the
that is the
bar in a
thing.
watch.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I agree.
if you were to do a RoboCop watch and didn't watch 3 or the remake, that's probably your
But
bar. is 1
RoboCop
and 2.
1, the poster, I'm putting it up now, the movie poster, still one of the coolest posters ever made for a movie in the history of movies. Look at that thing.
Yeah, look at how
I mean,
good it
at
is.
the time, it was pretty visually evocative, right?
Oh, hell yeah.
Holy
Part
shit.
man,
Metal
part
Man.
machine,
Part
all cop.
machine. Oh, cop. Plus you had Verhoeven, which is a psycho director making the thing. Like, there's nothing quite like it. And my mom refused.
I love Verhoeven so much. He was way ahead of his time.
Yep. Until he
like-
did Hollow Man. That's a bad movie.
Absolutely ahead of his time, that guy. Because
Yeah.
you watch that in Starship Troopers and you just go, why did people think these were normal action movies?
They're not.
Why didn't they understand?
Yeah.
Like, he is not subtle at all. He is the subtlety of a mallet, but nobody talked about it that way
No.
when either of those movies came out. In fact, Starship Troopers, they talked about it as the opposite. They criticized it as a military recruitment film,
Yeah.
when really it was the exact opposite. Like,
No one knew what to do with his vision. His stuff was weird. Total Recall, a whole other animal with him directing than it would have been without him.
We didn't have internet back then. In order to know things, you had to read books and magazines and understand. Like, there was a time when like film criticism was like a niche.
Yeah, that's true.
It's like America's #1 sport now, like on Twitter or whatever. Like, it's, everyone's an expert filmmaker.
Yeah.
But that was not how we talked about movies 20, 30 years ago.
Yeah. Everyone's a critic today. Literally. That used to be an old phrase people would say, everyone's a critic, but it wasn't true. Now it's true. Everyone is.
Yeah. Now it's 100% true. Everyone's a critic of everything.
and so
they can
speaking
propose.
of that, let me critique RoboCop's demo. I had a lot of fun with it.
All right.
I as much as there were things where I was like, this is so weird. This is so odd. Like, at the end of the day, I was like, but I kind of want to just keep doing more of it. I do wish RoboCop was a little more durable. Now, he has an armor tree that, like, I can solve this. Like, the cap to the armor tree is, like, literally small arms fire just bounces off of you. But it feels like, that kind of feels like how the character should be baseline. He's really squishy at the beginning in a kind of shocking way, but that's fine. It's got to be a video game.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah,
it does seem a little weird that he can take fewer shots than Master Chief. Like, that's
Yeah, he's supposed to be like pretty much invulnerable to small arms fire and stuff like that.
He was in the movie, yeah. His
and
weakness
you can
is
get there, but you got to put a lot of points into it to get there.
the weakness of the movie was he always had that hole right here, and I always thought if you really want to get RoboCop, shoot him in the face hole. He's still a man in there, right?
Yeah, but no, like, it's not like it's a weak point. It's just his face.
Yeah, flesh would fall away to metal. Like he'd be
They'd
like the
resurgery his
Terminator.
face back on. Like it probably. It's something they should do in a movie where they try to shoot his face off, and then there's body horror where it's just like decrepit teeth, and he's like, "I'm still gonna kill you." I'm always like, and he just,
I am RoboCop.
It's not like Batman. Who like Batman's a man underneath, so like you can definitely kill him by putting a gun.
Oh, good point.
In the mouth hole.
But I thought
But
there was a
he's
brain.
like-
His only part of him that's still there is his brain in there, right?
Yeah, but it's probably like I'm assuming the face isn't really like I assume the brain's in a metal encasing and the face is stretched on top of the metal.
Yeah, it's just
encasing.
skin stretch because he has a little
The
thing in
only-
his head from where he got shot in the head. Like the bullet
only
hole is
direct
still
link
there.
is the eye, is the ocular nerve from the brain to the eye.
Mm.
Like so, the ocular nerve's fed through metal holes.
He
But
does
he's wearing
eat
a visor.
food too, so presumably there is some. Although I think they say that the food, like,
It's a metal
all-
hole, and it probably is
Yeah.
processed for his brain. Probably requires like whatever food energy is coming from it. But
Yeah,
I
there's
choose to
not-
believe it's not. It's not like he's just a head Adam Jensen style. You know
Oh,
what I mean?
right.
Like Adam Jensen's just like top half of his torso and head. That's all he has. Is
He's got those goofy, skinny arms and legs.
yeah.
I was going
I
to say,
think RoboCop is just brain.
I know this is not a popular opinion. I will just say it for myself, but I rank the Joel Kinnaman movie, the more modern one that had Michael Keaton was the bad guy. That one I like as my second favorite RoboCop movie. It goes number 1, then that one, then distantly 3, and then 4.
I don't know where I would put them all because I really think I only like one.
I mean, it's really
I think
the
two.
OG.
I think two has some things that I like. I think the remake had some things that I like, but I don't think either of those movies. I'm like, oh, I like both those movies. I think there's just moments in both of them that I think are okay.
That's why I'm
I
so
think the
excited about the game.
redesign of Ed 209 in the remake is sacrilegious.
Oh, it's
I think
horrible.
Ed
That's bad.
209 is one of the coolest looking designed robots in the history of anything.
Yeah,
I think what they turned him into in the remake is embarrassing.
that was a shame. I agree with that. But most of that movie I thought was pretty good. All right, Bo, let's swing over to you. Someone here decided to fire up Darktide and see what has changed lately. And it was you.
Yeah,
What did
I
it?
think I talked about it playing a bit last week, but I just started getting into it. But yeah, I've been pretty busy. It's my last week at work, and
Right.
I haven't been able to settle into Cyberpunk with enough time to really sort of get into it. You play for 2 hours and you're like, it's not satisfying.
Right.
Anyways, so I got back into Darktide. Now, Darktide's really, really fun.
Yeah.
I've liked it on launch. I liked it now. I know there's a lot of opinions and reasons why people don't like the game, but I've always found it to be very satisfying in terms of it's Left 4 Dead, right? And we've all played Vermintide, but I guess there's a show off factor here, where if you're getting a lot of good headshots or playing really well or helping out teammates, it's just fun. So what brought me back was the new talent trees for the classes.
Yeah, which we're looking at right now.
And yeah, you're seeing it right now. Like, so basically everyone has a grenade ability, a passive like aura buff, and an ulti called a combat ability. And now all the classes have 3 choices of each. So the skill tree, like 2 of the classes, both Zealot and Veteran, for example, have like stealth abilities now as ultis, so they can just go invisible and run around. The Psyker has a huge shield, like I don't want to say Reinhardt, but that kind of style where you can throw a shield down and just have a shield protect the team. It's got bio lightning. Zealots have daggers that they can throw now, and then it's just like so many new things. There's these like psychic, like icicles that the Psyker has. I haven't looked at the Ogryn tree at all. It's my lowest level 1, but the Ogryn are fun. And there's more enemies, more levels. They've added some, so there's some. Every now and then I get into a level I haven't played before, and I'm like, oh, sweet, this is going to be exciting.
Yeah.
And it's just fun. Like a mission will take a good chunk of time too. It's about 30 minutes to an hour. And yeah, I mean, if you've played the game already, then there's new stuff in here. If you liked it, you'll like it more. If you didn't really like it before, I can't really say. unless the talent tree rework really pulls you in. Like I just there's this weird sense of disappointment that this game has been coupled with for some people, and I don't know if it's the depressing atmosphere, although John's talked at length of that before, um, or if it's just not quite hitting for whatever reason. Like the game is like the shooting's really well done. I find the shooting very fun, satisfying, a little forgiving on certain weapons, which is okay in this kind of hectic environment, and no shortage of enemies. And then you need plans. Not every weapon or ability is good at everything. Some things are good at clearing out hordes. Some things are good at clearing out long range dudes. Some is good at the big dudes. And then you're gonna get in the higher difficulties. I'm playing on Malice, which is like 4th of the 5 difficulty levels. You get like modifiers where like, oh, poxhounds, they're real annoying. They run at you from a weird angle and they'll down somebody by jumping on top of them. Well, what if the modifier in this level is every now and then we'll throw 16 of them at you? Like one isn't bad enough, so you get these waves of just like 16 of them, and it gets crazy. And yeah, it's fun. It's gross. Everything's disgusting, and I love it. So
And it's in the 40K
I've
universe.
been playing all week, like every night. I've been playing every night. It's great.
I because of you, I reinstalled it. I haven't had time to hit play, but I'm gonna.
Yeah.
I want this to be in my rotation. I didn't really have like major problems with it. I just did that thing where I went, everybody's talking about the problems. I guess I'll wait till the problems are gone.
Well, and we
Kinda
also,
lazy,
because I think for me too, like we really like Vermintide, so I was really looking forward to you, me, Kyle, and John, getting back the gang
Yeah.
back together. And
Yeah.
I know our schedules haven't permitted us as much to get into as much multiplayer, but I was looking forward to carrying on the Vermintide tradition. But I think for a number of reasons, it just didn't hit the same. Vermintide, it doesn't have any memorable characters in it like Saltspire.
Yeah. Saltspire was
I know it
amazing.
doesn't have a lot of good, cutscenes. Like it's not like a AAA game with a huge narrative, but it still does it better than Vermintide 2. But I think because this is a $70 game, and Vermintide's sort of seen as a $30 range kind of game, expectations are maybe a little different. I think it did launch in a poor state for like crafting and stuff like that too. So
I think
there's
for
some
me,
weird things.
one of the biggest problems with this game was that it had a teaser trailer. Like as funny as it is to say that, like sometimes teaser trailers are a real bad idea, and I think Darktide having a teaser trailer.
What was
really
it about the
worked.
teaser that bugged you?
I mean, they were on
So
par
the problem
with the
with
Vermintide ones.
the problem with the teaser trailer for Darktide was this: it was Warhammer 40K Darktide by the makers of Vermintide, and that was what you had to get excited about. And there's a lot to get excited about there. But you tell somebody, okay, 40K universe Vermintide, what is the person picturing? And I guarantee you, nobody was picking their prison jumpsuit color and getting ready to go hit zombies with a shovel.
I mean, I was.
And like
that, I was. Like I can't say nobody because for me, my experience was it was exactly as expected.
Like I was, to me, show me Space Marine 2 footage. That's what went through my head. Like, because to me, that's what I think of when I think of 40K.
Yeah.
Like, I picture orcs, I picture, Space Marines, I picture guns. I certainly don't picture being a prisoner, picking my jumpsuit color, and then smacking zombies with shovels, especially in a world where zombies are done to death. And that's not to say that it's, it's bad, but like, it didn't then it's that case, and we had this with Diablo 4 too, where every time I learned more about the game, I got more disappointed. And that's the problem with a teaser trailer, when it's literally just font that says, hey, here's the game that's coming. You got to be careful because expectations are going to run wild because you haven't given people any other context. You've said, from the people who made Vermintide comes a Warhammer 40K experience. And you go, oh. And it's got Darktide, so relatively safe to say it will be similar in style to Vermintide, right?
Right.
I think all that
you're-
is a logical connection.
Yeah.
And it just didn't hit what I wanted fantasy-wise. And it just was lacking. And then when the game came out, it didn't play well. I got really sick of running through dark industrial environments.
See, that's the stuff I like.
Every time I went to a weapon vendor, I was just like, okay, none of this looks cool. I don't want to chase any of this. I didn't like any of the classes. I picked marksman not because I wanted, or whatever it's called, not because I wanted to play marksman, but because I assumed that that class would be least likely to run out of ammo because I didn't want a melee. And then I didn't like their special abilities, so I went, do I want to play the class that do I want to play this class, or do I want to play a class where maybe I like their special abilities more? And the only other one I liked was the one that was the melee focused one. And I was like, well, but that's not what I want to do. So I had incorrect expectations. Then there was a rough execution. No one will pretend otherwise. And then I just didn't like any of the classes. So it's just what it is. What it is.
Yeah,
Right.
For
But
me,
that's too bad because it's actually a really good game. I put 157 hours into it so far. So
it's a lot.
I mean,
Yeah.
I really like it. It's too bad that stuff's a turn off for people because
Do you
it's
do you
really
like
fun.
the talent stuff? Are you happy with the changes there?
Oh yeah, I mean, it's much improved. It's more interesting. I wouldn't go so far as to call it like really deep, but it definitely gives you. You can set presets. So when you log into your quick match game, when you're paired up with people, you can go, oh, I'm going to go for a more defensive build. Let me take this loadout. They have improved. The weapon system is still a bit of a progress thing, but it's like incentive to keep playing. So you'll want to get items, you'll surrender them to take the blessing, and then you can bless items and like adjust the guns the way you want them. So the item system's actually gotten pretty deep in terms of customizing how your build works. I think like compared to launch, it's a lot better. The systems are there. I would say this is like the launch ready version, and you'll see a lot of reviews in Steam saying as much. Like the game launched early and in an unfinished state, and now it's in a finished state. In terms of the item system being in the game, they added some new cutscenes as well, just when you first meet some of the vendors and stuff, and I'm pretty sure they're going to be working on adding. They've already added new levels, but I'm sure they're working on adding new content. And who knows? Maybe a lot of that. Sometimes these games, like John, your feedback might be reflective of a lot of people looking at that dark and depressing world, and maybe they'll figure out something with expansion content that brightens it up or adds some of the.
I mean, I'll
other
say
40K
Scott's
stuff
been
for you.
playing footage, and the footage I've seen, the stages, some of the stages that were shown look a hell of a lot better than anything I played. So
It's a little more. It's a
like,
little less
like
monochrome.
I will always
Yeah.
say this, like and we said this about Cyberpunk because we've been talking about Cyberpunk a lot on this show, and there are some people that do not have any interest in forgiving CD Projekt Red for releasing Cyberpunk the way they did. And you know what? They have every right. Like, I've said it many times, if a game is going to put 1.0 on it, you have every right to judge the game based on what they said was a launched product. And if you don't want to go back to it, that's your right. Nobody should make you. But I much rather live in a world where people fix these games than abandon them. So I am extremely happy that they are working on fixing this game. I don't know if it will ever morph into something that I like, but I'm really excited that they're fixing it and not just going, well, sorry, it is what it is. Go for it. I think it's cool that they're putting new stuff in there, and I will always respect that far more than just going, you got your money.
Yeah.
What else we gonna do?
Yeah. I agree with that.
Yeah. So, anyways, if you guys are interested in trying it, I would love to play. I'm down for some multiplayer.
So you're playing on the
maybe-
second time. I mean, we're gonna have to do some catch up to get to your levels.
So, the one thing I will say, gameplay wise, I mean, I haven't started a new character in a while, but the game definitely feels more fun when you hit max level. So there is like a leveling process. I'm not sure if they sped it up at all. I know it felt a little long, but I think they wanted to give people some. These games, they want to give you a reason to be playing, an incentive to move forward. When you hit max level, it can feel like I want to stop playing. But my Psyker and Veteran have been level 30 forever, and I'm leveling a Zealot, and I'm always like, ugh, I need more points. Like, I just, you don't, like you're in prison garb in the beginning, but as you unlock your penances, you get cosmetics through achieving things through the game.
Yeah,
Then
some of that
your
stuff
guide,
looks really cool.
Your guys actually can look cool. Yes, there's an in-game shop where you can also pay to look cool. If you're a dead set against that, that's okay. There are like I just use my pre-order items a lot. The pre-order because we were all gifted the game and we got the pre-order bonuses. The pre-order camo is actually pretty badass looking, and I think maybe it came with some. They call it Aquilas or Aquilas, or whatever the in-game currency is called, Aquilas. That's literally what it's called, Aquilas. But you may both even have some, so you can get yourself like you don't have to buy a whole outfit, but just like a cool helmet or something. Like there's some neat pieces. I've got like a prosthetic targeting eye in one of my eyes, so I look even grosser. And I got to play. I was honored. I posted on social media, but I was literally laughing the entire level. I played with an Ogren called John Fetterman, who I don't know much about him, but I know what he looks like, and I know he's a big dude who's a politician.
He's
and
a senator
he
here.
Made
in the
him look
States.
exactly with the big beard. Like it just looks so much like John Fetterman. It just was making me laugh so much because it's like it's level 30. He's been playing it forever, and it's like this weird, not diss, but it's just John Fetterman's an Ogren. He's not a human-sized people. He's a giant. It just made me
Fetterman
laugh so much.
Senator Fetterman seems like a dude that would probably laugh that off. This guy wears
exactly.
sweats.
It didn't seem like mean-spirited, but it was just really funny because he he's a tall, big dude, and
it's perfect.
I don't know why. It just cracked me up. I love seeing stuff like that.
Well, I'm gonna try it again. We'll see what happens. I love 40K. I like the dark tone. None of that was an issue for me. My biggest issue was just like everybody seemed down on it, and it didn't seem like the fun time to play it. But we're out of that.
Yeah,
hype bubble.
It didn't launch in. I think it earned some criticisms, absolutely, due to how it launched. But
yeah. Good news is
based
back on Game Pass, by the way. So.
Yeah, it's on. So I think it was recently released fully on consoles too. That was like also a thing. It didn't launch on Xbox at the same time. I don't know the exact story. I don't remember, but I know there was some delays there. I think
something was going on.
It was launched early. I'm pretty sure there was some problems that related to an early launch.
Yep.
That is a bit unfortunate for them, but I think it's a solid video game product.
It's a solid video game product.
Get away from whether you were misled because of the marketing, like all legitimate criticisms, or it's too dark and I don't want to play as a pilgrim or not a pilgrim, a prisoner. It wasn't the fantasy I expected. Like just overall, the video game product itself is like it functions well. It was not very. The only bugginess had to do with the graphics card driver shit, but I found personally that cleared up fairly quickly in the weeks following launch. And overall, it's been, an enjoyable. Like the sound design is off the chain, the music's off the chain. If you like lots of blood and monsters, it's got it. The enemy design is cool. The weapons, surprise for people that aren't known for shooters, they do kind of swingy bow stuff. The guns function great. I like the guns.
Yeah, I like them too.
They did get a lot of things in categories right. And
is there more ammo now? Because it's the other only problem I had at launch was there was not near enough ammo. John talked about that too. Like, how's that?
Again, there's a few things going on here. One is understanding the metagame because there's plenty of ammo packs lying about, and then there's ways to get ammo to refill. Also, in the talent tree, both before and after, like the veteran has a talent for plus 25% ammo. It's a huge bump in ammo. You get tons more if running out of ammo is an issue for you.
Sure.
Also depends on the guns, so you don't get access to all the guns. It's gated behind levels. So only the best weapons and guns get dropped or available for purchase when you hit 30. So also there's an element of you're using shovels in shitty weapons because you're level 5. I found the game didn't really start picking up till 20 or higher, so that's also a problem if you're not really engaging your players that early on, let's say, if you didn't stick it out, which is understandable. If you're finding it boring, why would you play?
So well, there you go, an updated look at Darktide. Maybe it's time, everyone. Maybe it's time. I know what it is time for. It's time for a break. We're going to go pee and stuff like that. When we get back from all of that, we got a Dear Martha magazine review. Oh yeah, you've been missing those? Well, guess what? John's got you covered. We also got some sweet voicemails today and some other news that we didn't tackle already. So stick around. We'll be back shortly. We'll see you then. I can
in
see
the
that.
States. So I imagine you guys have that.
We probably have something somewhere, major city somewhere. Okay.
Yeah.
Let me.
Yeah, no, they still have classic rock. You want to listen to Pink Floyd and Neil Young? Who can hook you up here? Shay 106.
Sweet. Shay. That's interesting. All right, here we go. We're back, everyone. Thank you for your patience. And get ready
Guess
because
who's back?
dear Martha's here to
My
regale
good
you
John.
with good times. John, no special setup here, right? It's just the
I mean,
usual.
you've got 3 pictures you need to show.
Oh, shit.
I sent them to you.
I forgot all about how this works.
You
Let's
need,
do that.
yeah, you need to prep them because some podcast listeners will love this. Some of the jokes are visual in nature.
Yes, that is often true when we do this or when you've done this in the past. Oh my gosh, pray. Oh, geez. Okay. I don't want to give anything away. Let's go ahead and get started then. And here we go.
My dearest Martha, I have returned from my time travel vacation, which means in this case that I am back in time. Today I write to you from May of 1996 after having just read through issue 12 of Computer Player magazine. The cover tells you everything you need to know. We still thought Duke Nukem was cool. Warcraft had a 2 after it instead of the words messed up again. And we were all looking at the 96 presidential primaries, even in our gaming magazines.
Wow.
And I know what you're thinking. Duke Nukem was cool? Well, he's on the cover, and on the 2nd and 3rd pages. And a boss from the game is on page 4. In other words, it was inescapable. Much like the game's allure when my uncle let me play it, telling me there were adult things hidden in the game. And look, it was certainly a less politically sensitive time for gaming. Don't believe me? Only 13 pages in, and you'll be treated with an advertisement for a Civil War strategy game that, if the ad is to be believed, its main selling point is that you apparently control the streamer Asmongold, commanding the armies of the South. At least that's what it looks like. But this was a crazy good time for PC gaming, Martha. This issue talks about Warcraft and MechWarrior, Civilization, once again, Duke Nukem, when that was actually a selling point. But the one that surprised me the most was this little blurb at the end of their Duke Nukem preview titled, "The Next Step, Prey." And it's a little write-up about 3D Realm's next intended game, which would be called Prey. That's right, Prey. A game that would eventually come out looking and sounding very different 10 years later in 2006. Which was of course the predecessor to the game Prey 2, which was a game that would ultimately be cancelled in favor of a new game called Prey 11 years after that. In a lot of ways, this was the start of that saga. What a crazy thing to see. But that's the fun part of looking back through these things, Martha. Not just seeing how things were, but filling in where they're going. That's what we see so much of here. Duke Nukem is no longer a hot brand. Civilization 2 is now the rumored Civilization 7. Warcraft 2 is now everybody hoping Blizzard will remember that RTS is a genre of video game. And if the pattern holds true, maybe another game called Prey will be coming out in 3 to 5 more years. Until then, Martha, I remain yours in time, S. Beckett 96.
For lovely. Perfect timing too. Listen to this music. Oh man, look at that. Ended nicely. Love that.
So I have a question for you.
Go.
Yeah.
I noticed on the cover of this Computer Player magazine, it said 46 reviews and previews, and a title jumped out at me that I wanted to see, a game called The Dame Was Loaded.
Whoa.
Yeah.
What is
Which I
that?
posted a gameplay video, and holy FMV, Batman.
Really? FMV, eh? I love it. Big fan.
just, like,
There it is. The Dame that was loaded. The Dame was loaded.
The Dame
never-
that was loaded.
I never heard that game before.
Yeah,
But I linked a video in the Discord of the gameplay.
Oh, Return Fire's on this list. You guys even know how great Return Fire was? Oh man, what a game!
This is like L.A. Noir, but 10 years earlier. Like
Let's see.
Prey.
Let me take a look here.
I mean, this was a weird, interesting time for PC gaming. This was a great time to be a PC gamer.
I mean, literally you drive a car at one point. And there's a dashboard of your Pontiac.
What
The
happened to
city
these
map.
people, by the way? This magazine, they're gone, right? This is a defunct gaming.
They're gone.
Oh yeah,
No longer with us.
Most are, yeah.
it's true. It just feels bad that PC Gamer's the only one that survived that whole thing. You know?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, look, this is FMV to hell and back. Holy crap!
Oh yeah, FMV.
Yep. Look at these people looking like reject porn actors.
Stereotypes just breaking through doors.
Look at that guy. There's your new Mario. That's fantastic. All right.
Spencer
It's
and
me.
Andrew
I'm the new
investigation.
Mario. I'm gonna be in Mario Wonder. I'm gonna take a flower and things are gonna get real trippy around here.
Oh,
Gonna be
Lucky
an
Phil in
elephant.
the chat room said the game was loaded was fun. We actually know someone who played it. Wow.
You're kidding me. We just did Phantasmagoria on Play Retro this week.
I love Phantasmagoria. I love all those games, man.
Yeah, we have there's a fondness for that stuff. I mean, no one's surprised that it didn't last, but there's a moment in time where FMV was
There's
badass.
a couple people keeping them still alive. There's a few that come out.
That's
They
true.
They don't make it to the top of the charts anywhere, but you can play a modern FMV game. You look hard enough.
Yeah. And would we even have something as wonderful as this here
Space!
without FMV in your video games? Spies. All right. Well done. That was great as usual. Time for a little bit of news we didn't talk about. Some quick stuff. We have a little bit of closure to our Unity drama discussion a few weeks ago now. John Riccitiello, former EA CEO, now Unity CEO, and the guy behind the horrible changes nobody liked, has resigned immediately from his post at Unity. He is gone. That is the end of that. He's basically pushed out from this job.
Yeah.
And probably should have been. I think between him and Bobby Kotick, they're kind of finish line bad guys.
Does this change anything? I don't know. Like, but of course, like, what else do you do if you're Unity? What else do you do at this point to try and save face? You know, this is, we kind of saw the writing on the wall for this when Blizzard went through their stuff, and what's his name was out.
Not Morheim.
I can't think of his name now.
Not Adham.
J. Allen Brack.
J. Allen Brack. Jeez.
Yeah. When he was out, we all kind of saw it coming, even though he wasn't specifically named as anything. Like, but you have to make it look like you're doing something. And I think he should be out. I'm not going to try and make an argument that he should be in, but at the same time, I doubt this was his baby. John Riccitiello came in one day and went, "Here's what we're doing," and everyone went, "No, John, no, don't do it. You can't." And he was like, "I'm John Riccitiello. I do what I want."
Yeah.
And he did it. But he's gonna be the fall guy for it. So that's
Is it Riccitiello
I don't think
or
this-
is it Riccitiello?
It's Riccitiello. It is definitely not Riccitiello.
what's the iceberg
Well, that's
on
how it's
pronouncing
spelled.
his last name. I think
Riccitiello.
this is one of those where American white people
Riccitiello.
say Riccitiello, but if you go underwater, there's
something
fancy
else.
one.
Yeah, maybe
I just feel like there's a few I's we're not pronouncing.
you might be right. Who knows?
Riccitiello.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, sorry.
But
to
he asked
interrupt
him. Maybe that's where his vengeance on the industry came from. He's like, they're gonna call me Riccitiello. I'll show them.
Check this out. I just for the heck of it, I thought I'd look at the J. Allen Brack LinkedIn. I was curious where he's at because I haven't really heard. After a good search, I am excited to announce that I will be chief of the engineering variety at Magic Soup Games.
you. Who is this?
This is J. Allen Brack. What is Magic Soup Games? Hold on. Magic Soup Games. So the former head of Blizzard Entertainment is now with Magic Soup, and they make what? Okay, here we go. We create massive games that make you feel good.
I'll tell you what's not magic is that picture of soup.
Yeah, that's
that
gross.
that is soup I don't want to eat.
Yeah, if
Oh,
you
I
eat,
don't know. You're being.
look at that soup,
I'm
Bo.
not being mean. If somebody put that in front of you, I don't know. I'm not saying don't buy their video games. I'm saying
I mean,
if
I'd eat
somebody
that.
put that in front of me, I would not eat it. I would
I'd
go,
eat
oh,
that.
you know, it was crazy. I got trapped in traffic and I ate on the way
Cool.
over.
It looks
sorry.
like paint, but it's food.
Yeah.
Is it food or is it paint? And
I
if you
mean,
have to ask
I'd-
yourself that question, you don't eat it.
I'd put some trust that someone wouldn't at Magic Soup wouldn't feed me poison.
Why? Who at Magic Soup do you trust?
Chef Jen, Chef Jay, and Chef John.
I think Chef J is J. Allen Brack. I think. I'm pretty sure. Let me click it.
Oh, I don't know. There's links to LinkedIn. Oh,
No,
it's
it
Jen
is.
Go to
O'Neill.
LinkedIn.
Yeah. Oh, Jen O'Neill.
Jen O'Neill
Really?
from Vicarious Visions and shortest co-CEO ever.
Oh, this is where she ended up. I didn't know that. Who's John then?
I
Let's
thought I heard
see.
something like that. And look, in all their LinkedIn profiles,
John
they're wearing
Dunham.
chef. They're actually like on theme. Well, except John, you're slacking. He's got a normal shirt on, but
I know. he's
Jennifer
not
and
cooking
Jay
anything. That's what
Allen
I'm saying.
have chef jackets on. They look like they're contestants on Hell's Kitchen.
Interesting.
But hey.
He was with Blizzard for a few years as chief of staff of VP Special Projects, and then Amazon Prime Gaming, director of game growth and Crown Channel, whatever that is.
Yeah, look at that. They got a lot of great folks. Naomi MacArthur is on the team.
It's another startup though. There's no projects in the works. There's no games listed. So
Yeah, I guess that's
Yeah,
another Dreamhaven style deal. I mean,
yeah.
I don't.
Again, I'm not trying to insult the quality. I'm just saying that soup doesn't look yummy.
I wouldn't eat the soup either. I wouldn't mind zooming into it and playing within it as a video game. But
They're already getting gamer feedback, and they haven't even released a game yet. we're pleased to announce a game company. Your soup looks like shit.
that's
Like,
funny.
we love making games for you guys.
That is funny.
Get wrecked, son. Your game is not. Your soup is terrible.
Speaking of Blizzard, second Diablo 4 Season 2 stream is mostly another win. People are pretty happy with this fireside chat thing they did. Is it a fireside chat? What do they call that? Whatever it is. They reveal 5-point plan to overhaul Diablo 4's uniques. It's the resistances in the game, which currently are a total joke, and more for Season 2. It all seems fine from what I read and saw. John, you and I were talking pre-show. Did any of this drive you to go, oh, I'm definitely going to play Diablo 4 again?
It gave me hope that I might get there eventually. Like, they identifying that uniques are not exciting is definitely a big issue. I mean, one of the things I liked, and full disclaimer, I'm not an ARPG gamer. I don't even know what that means, and I don't care to know. I'm a filthy casual, and I'm happy to rut around in my own filth down here. It's fine.
Sure.
What I know is that in a game that's about getting loot, I should be excited when I get loot. And right now in Diablo 4, I very rarely am ever excited to get loot. It pops up, and I recognize, oh, a unique, cool. And then 9 times out of 10, I go, oh, this is not great. I don't know if I'm interested in this.
Yeah.
And so identifying that as a pain point for the game, I think is a big step, because that's one of the things that I liked and talked a lot about with Diablo 3. My favorite thing about Diablo 3's loop is that you take your character, you go, this is the character I want to be, and then you chase after loot that turns you into a broken nightmare that breaks all the rules that the game spent however many levels telling you these were the rules of the game. You go through the leveling experience being told, like, oh, you get a zombie dog, like, enjoy. And then you get to end game and you get gear, and it's like, you get 30 zombie dogs. Congratulations, you've broken the video game. Like, that's fun. That's exciting. And seeing them finally kind of acknowledge that that's the direction that Diablo 4 is needing to head into, is making cool, unique pieces of gear actually interesting, is really good. I still think that they have a tooltip issue. I did tweet about this, despite the fact that, again, I think most of this stuff sounds really, really good for them. But they started talking about, like, bonus synergy and like wanting to stack synergy of gear types and like, well, you're going to build up your ultimate synergy so that if you use ultimate skills, it's going to build up a bonus. And like the tooltip for it is like a small novel. Nobody wants that. You have got to find a way with your gear and your items to convey how strong someone's getting shorthand. Nobody should have to read through the shards of Night City to find out if a piece of gear is interesting. And some of the things they're doing in that regard is good. So, like, originally in Diablo 4, stats were randomized, like how they would appear on a piece of gear. So, you might have a piece of gear that just for simplicity's sake shows strength, dex, int, crit. And then another piece of gear that shows crit, int, strength, dex. And it's like, why is the order different? That makes it so hard to compare gear that it's not in a set logical order from one piece to another. So they're fixing stuff like that, but then they add other things where it's like, okay, now you got to grasp your mind around this math for gear or damage type synergies and stuff like that. It's just too much. You got to find an easier way. There's got to be a better way because nobody wants to read that novel.
I didn't review the buckets part. I only watched a little bit of the fireside chat. They are simplifying resistances, which is good.
Yes, that they are.
They need to.
So like, you know, there's a soft or hard cap at 70, and then the amount of resistance you get is the amount your damage is being reduced. Full stop. So that's kind of nice.
I'm having flashbacks, 2012 flashbacks a little bit, because the biggest problem with Diablo 3 at the time was, again, itemization issues, and it didn't feel good to get certain loot because of the way they arranged things with the store and everything else. And they fixed all that with the expansion and the 2.0 stuff. But it does feel like they're just repeating history in a weird way, you know? It's like
it might come from business decisions, I'm betting. Like big games getting launched and they want things to be a certain way because it'll drive engagement or whatever, and then it doesn't work, and then the developers have to, I'm assuming they know this in advance, but have to do what they're told, and then they end up fixing the game long term. I assume at this point, because it keeps happening.
Because you get all your initial sales, which pushes whatever you get on the cosmetics. Like there's a plan there, and then once that plan is expended, you know, I'm not conspiratorial about this stuff, but you know, I could see them saying, all right, phase 2, just like we planned, we start talking about what we're fixing. We're listening, you know, all that stuff.
I think like there's what is it? There's a tension between being withholding and giving people a lot of stuff, right? So they want people to play every season, and they want to maximize their battle pass sales. I mean, that's
of course they do.
The business end game here. Otherwise, why would they keep releasing X packs and seasons?
Right.
So if it's too easy to get, everyone gets bored and goes away. If it's too hard to get,
everyone gets bored and goes away.
Too hard and goes away.
Yeah.
So, you know, I feel, and this all influences just overall game design. Like, is it fun? And it's like John says, it's fun to get shit, have stuff to experiment with, to not know what's around the corner, for it not to be boring. I think it's going to take some time to get there. I think it's probably a small miracle on the people who worked on the game that it launched in as good of state as it did, because I think it launched probably unfinished, at least compared to maybe where the original plan was for it to be at launch. Because, like I said, 50 to 100. Like the end game is pretty Spartan in terms of activities.
Yeah.
If you were just like, we're gonna take 3 and make it better, I'm like, it's slightly worse than 3 right now. But we're at the start of the life cycle, so I could see it getting pretty good by the time we're 2 expansions deep.
Yep. I hope so too.
So I'm curious. I think I might dip my toe in. October 17th is the date that the patch goes live.
Tuesday.
I may dip my toe in, unless the season thing, which is like, it's all about vampires, feels pretty special. I'm still a little skeptical about how interesting it's going to be still at this stage, even though the changes are good, but we'll see.
Yeah. You played so much of it, it's probably a little daunting. Right.
I don't know. I mean, I'll have more time to do it. So maybe, you know, like my situation may change, but if you're a working person, the one thing I liked about having the full-time job is I could relate to a lot of people who listen who also work and have limited time.
Yeah.
You know, it's like if you're a working person or just have family obligations, stuff like that, it's not practical. Even with a 40% reduction in time to get to level 100,
Yeah.
I'm still thinking, so instead of 3 weeks or 4 weeks for some people, it's 2 weeks. It still seems like you're missing out on a lot of other games because you like this game that much.
Yeah, this
I don't
isn't
know.
2001 or even 12 where there's just less competition. In a year like this, like how are you even a new game this year? It's so weird.
Yeah, I don't know what it needs to do. I think out of all the stuff that came out, the way they did Nightmare Dungeons was a little disappointing.
Mm.
They're good, but they're very they're one floor. Okay, so this is a thing. I think this is the problem with a lot of games. I appreciate varied environments, but sometimes when I think of a dungeon, I want like a 10 level 50, like I'm going deep into a dungeon,
No, I
right?
would have never expected that this was Bo's philosophy on dungeon
I want like
design.
10 to
Yeah.
50 levels. Like I want to
This
go
is
deep.
crazy.
Yeah.
I want to go deep into a dungeon, like to a point of no return where like there's as much horror behind me as there is in front of me, and the only way out is to face the evil at the bottom. So when they were kind of like going hard on the dungeon marketing, like these are going to be crazy dungeons, I'm like, they're like the most uncraziest dungeon. Like the art's great and
Yeah.
it's fun to play Diablo, but I'm like, a real this could be just TSR days, Dungeons and Dragons thinking, but like mega dungeons to me have like at minimum 5 floors.
Well,
And
Run
they
them
should
for
have 50.
1 year of your life, or you don't run them at all. That's Bo's policy.
well, like the previous
No,
Diablos.
Diablo 1 was that. That's where
Yeah, it
no,
was.
no, I'm poking a little fun at the there will be dungeons thing, but like I get where you're coming from. Like,
Yeah, no, I make super dungeon. Yeah, I know.
Hell yeah, you
definitely.
do.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've never. I don't know that you've ever made a simple dungeon for D&D.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't played with you that long, but
I make adult dungeons, thank
yeah,
you.
make adult.
Not kids dungeons.
You make dungeons for big grown-ups, is what you
he
do.
makes
I make
38
grown-up
floors,
dungeons.
and then he starts to go live and goes, "Wait a minute, where's their bathrooms?" And
Yeah.
goes back to the drawing board.
Yep.
Where's
Start
the
over.
McDonald's? We had a dungeon with the McDonald's in it, everyone.
That's true,
You
we
didn't
did.
listen to the show, you missed out.
That was a great.
Go back. There's a year's worth of episodes where we are in that dungeon.
Yep.
Like, you can
Which
check
one?
it out
What?
whenever you want.
Not Caravallon. Was it Year in Caravallon?
Caravallon.
No.
We spent from the time we started our assault on the Lizard City to the time we got hit by the beam, over a year of game
Yep.
time. in that
Oh,
dungeon.
yeah, like a year and 2
Okay, it
months.
was Caravallon, or the Center for, underneath Caravallon was the Center for Human Demon Interdisciplinary Studies. Or
Right.
CHIDIS,
Yeah.
yeah.
Right. That was a long one.
That was really.
It was
It
fun
was
though.
a bit of a long one. It's true.
It was fun.
It's a bit of a long one. I was just,
It didn't
we're-
feel that
we're
long.
ju-
I was like, this is a pretty small dungeon, but then you play and you're like, yeah, okay, maybe it's.
I feel like the
here.
Fergusons had 2 children or something during that time or something.
Oh, come on.
Caravallon babies, we call them.
It was
Yeah,
a big
a
complex.
lot changed in Caravallon in our lives. Literally every major life event we experienced happened while we were in
Kind of,
that
yeah, that
dungeon.
was a busy year. We have some other news about Sony. Sony has unveiled, as predicted, a smaller redesigned PS5 Slim model edition of their devices. The digital edition is going up by $50 as well, which I don't love that. Price increases kind of suck. But anyway, they are revamping the look of it. They basically just look shrunk and smaller. They have a cool little line through it now, which is partly practical for expansion reasons, but also it just has this cool line down the side. Let's see. It's a...
So
go ahead.
do you see the accessibility controller for PlayStation?
I've not seen it yet. No, I don't think I have. I've seen that Microsoft one, but I haven't seen whatever Sony was doing for accessibility. Is it part of this announcement? I don't think it was.
No, that's why I mentioned it, because it was news, like fresh today.
Oh, let's see this.
And I
then.
meant to add it, but I got sidetracked, completely unrelated. But I just thought it was cool, like to give a shout out to, we make things one way and everyone's got to use it. And I'm like, oh, it looked like I wouldn't use it, but somebody would appreciate it. I'm like, I
Yeah.
don't know how that I play this, but I can see. I got a link to.
I think that's
PlayStation
awesome. We've talked about the Microsoft one because they've had it around longer, but they're both, efforts to make games
Microsoft
more
has one?
accessible.
I never even.
Oh yeah, there's looks like a couple of drum pads. Have you seen this thing? Here, where is this? Hold on. Let's see. Xbox accessible controller. Or spell it horribly like I did. All right, let's see what we got here. can't find it. Oh, adaptive controller, is that the one? Oh, yeah, there it is. So it almost looks like a drum machine.
Oh, okay.
But it's meant for, people with disabilities. They want to make more accessibility options for more and more people. I think it's great.
I did see this. Okay.
This
yeah,
won
and
some
it has
kind
a
of
lot
award.
of different. Like,
Yeah.
I guess the fun part is that it's highly moddable. It's not just like, oh, here's a controller, but here's a bunch of different buttons and knobs you can plug in. I'm like, it's kind of like a DIY controller.
Yeah, and it's not price bad. $100 for this thing, which is, I think, fair for a device like this.
Well, it's $80 for the Regos. So, I mean, yeah, it's just $20 premium. It's not that bad.
Yep. You can use mice with it. You can use all these, like you said, buttons and other switches and stuff.
Okay, so I didn't. Okay, I guess I forgot. I was about to just praise PlayStation for having it, but
no, I'm glad
guess they
Sony
both
does
do,
though.
but
Like the two major console device makers being this into that, I think is a really great thing.
like they look cool enough where if you had like the right game, like not necessarily a driving game, but if there was the right game, you just get it because it was cool for a game of a specific type too. Like I'm just like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty. Is it called the Access controller? Is that what they call it?
Yeah, access controller. I linked it in the Discord too. The PlayStation one looks wild, but it also has adaptability.
Oh yeah,
as
look
well,
at that thing, nutty.
It looks like a PlayStation controller pizza.
That's wild. Look at this.
It is like, isn't it kind of like, oh, weird, but like.
I mean, I assume they're showing the modularness of it by having all that shit spin around it.
It has the joystick.
Yeah, I don't think things actually orbit it.
No, that'd be cool, but no. But the idea is that it's the circular design means you can kind of rotate it. Well, they even say 360 degrees. The sticks are invertible. They can pull out.
And you can put little buttons and change the keys on them, and then you can plug shit in. And...
Yeah,
that's super cool.
This is cool.
Does my heart good that more people are doing this. I mean, you want an instant cry, go look up videos of parents, building special controllers for their kids and their kids getting to play Zelda for the first time and stuff like that.
Yeah,
like,
it's a huge deal.
Does my heart good in seeing the companies do the work instead of the parents learning electronic design.
Yeah, everybody else modding it
is real nice.
But it's just, you don't think about it because if somebody hands you a controller like the one I'm holding right here and you go, okay, I'm in. And you just kind of assume, yeah, everybody uses this. This is simple. Look at all this. This is easy. Look at my thumbs. And then you realize, nah, there are people with conditions where they can't go near this thing. This is a nightmare for them. Yeah. So I love it.
The PlayStation one looks kind of cracked out. Like the Xbox one looks like if I didn't know much about accessibility and had to make a controller, it's what I make, like sort of ignorant. Like it's a box with giant buttons.
Yeah, it's very much Microsoft's solution.
The PlayStation one looks like we did a lot of research and actually this is the best design, because I would never think to do a controller like that off the top of my head. Like,
yeah.
It doesn't look accessible, but I can see how it could be. Like it's interesting. I'm curious to know if you had accessibility issues, which of the controllers seems more appealing to you, I suppose, is my question.
Yeah, that'll be, I guess it depends also which console you have, but there's a lot of reasons.
No, I know, but just in a vacuum, I don't, like I say, you don't own either console. Now you have accessibility controllers. Which console looks more appealing based on the controller?
Oh,
because
I see.
if you can't control the game, you don't want the consoles. There's no point.
Yeah.
So if you were to look at both, which one? They both have plugins for adaptable things, but just the design of the PlayStation one seems like
it's pretty wild.
It's a little wild, but maybe it's not wild.
Maybe it's great.
No, we're like, whoa, that's the good one.
Yeah, what would probably happen is you'll get some reviews come out from accessibility reviewers who specifically are going to put these through the paces the way that they would, because we don't know how they do it.
Yeah.
And then we'll have a whole nother console war on our hands. Now we're all fighting about who has the better accessibility controller. But I think it's great that they're both doing it. Yeah. It's great.
Before you reminded me that Xbox had it, I thought they were the only ones doing it. I was like, wow, it's a big one for PlayStation.
Yeah, it'd be a big win. If anything, they're a little late, but it's still cool. I'm glad they're doing it.
All right, PC gaming, what are you doing?
Well, does Nintendo have one yet?
No, I don't think so. They may
get on it, Nintendo.
Yeah, maybe they feel the pressure
anybody
now.
while they're building it for you.
Nintendo accessibility controller. Let's just see. Do they have something and we just forgot that they did it? Oh, Hori has a third-party option.
Corey?
Hori, not Corey. Hori. HORI.
Just the way Bo said it, like he knew the guy. Like, yeah, I know him.
Like Corey from Trailer Park Boys or something. Weird.
I found a third party one at Praetorian UK.
Yeah, the hoary one I put in chat is another example. It looks like the approach is more closely tied to Microsoft's, a little more flat design, but accessibility stuff plugged into it, lots of ports on it, lots of buttons.
That one's real wild in terms of how many giant buttons you can.
Yeah, and Nintendo's like, you guys make it, we're not making one. We're making Pikmin, okay?
Don't put Mario on it. We'll come after.
Yeah, you jerks. Okay. Oh, I never told you the price. In the U.S., you will pay for a PlayStation 5 with the Ultra HD Blu-ray drive disc included for $499.99. You could also buy the digital edition, which is $40 more than it used to be, or $50. PS5 digital edition, which doesn't include the drive. However, you can buy the drive separately now and attach it to the one that is digital only if you decide to do that. Other good news is this is a terabyte drive instead of the 850 or whatever it was for the OG. So a little more disk space and 2 USB-C ports on the front that weren't there before. So
I want to live in a world where there's a $4 difference between the with drive and without drive. For some reason, that's just a great amount of money difference. Well, you can get it with a Blu-ray drive, or for $4 less, you can get it without.
It's like Cowboy Times is when that was a deal. You want to buy this horse?
Negligible amount of money.
Yeah,
it really is. For $4, especially today, $4 is.
Oh yeah, $4 is
Starbucks coffees that cost more than the drive.
I'm not even sure you can buy anything for under $4 in Starbucks. Anything like a pastry.
Yeah, drip coffee. Well, in the States, maybe not. You guys, it's expensive there. You can get a drip coffee under $4.
Is it all Tim? What's it called? Tim Conway?
Oh, no, Starbucks like drip coffee, like not the fancy one,
right?
Just
a normal ass coffee. But what's the Tim Hortons? That's what I was thinking of. Do they still good? People like Tim Hortons up there?
Tim Hortons has never been good. Sorry, Canadian listeners. Tim Hortons is patriotic swill. People just like it because it's, from Canada made and whatever. But
you probably don't like poutine either now.
I'll drink it. It's not that bad, but it's not. I wouldn't rank it highly. It's like the acceptable.
Do you like poutine? Do you like poutine?
Yeah. Oh, hell yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, way too much.
Do you like Mike Myers, the comedian actor Mike Myers?
Yeah.
He's Canadian.
Sure.
Okay.
Do you like Michael Myers, the horror icon?
I've never seen a Halloween film.
Oh, you should change that. They're fun.
It's just honestly, I always look at when you're looking at slasher films, you're like Jason, cool, Freddy Krueger, cool. I look at Michael Myers and I'm like, what's the appeal? It looks like shit.
Wow.
I never watched it. It's like no effort mask. It's just white. I'm like,
well, you know what that mask is? That mask is a bleached William Shatner mask from Star Trek, the original series.
Yeah, they cut the eyes out of a William Shatner mask.
Yeah, which is great because I saw a meme yesterday that said September 30th, whatever the last day of September was it 31st? I don't know. But it's like September 30th, and then it's a picture of Captain Kirk just kind of sitting there staring. October 1st, and then it's the Mike Myers mask because it's basically Shatner, but we're going into Halloween. You guys
that
get
makes
the joke.
sense. That makes sense.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
I love it. It turns
Never
out
seen a
William
Halloween.
Shatner coming after you is kind of scary.
Yeah, plus Shatner's also from Canada, so we've come full circle here.
Yeah, he's
well
a
done,
Canuck.
everyone. Finally, Quest 3 comes out next week. That's the official launch. Pre-orders have been going on for a while. Reviews have been pretty good. Bo, you don't have one yet, but you're probably gonna. You think?
Pretty sure. Might even be this time next week. We're talking on Core. I'll have the Quest 3. Reviews are kind of saying it's like pretty incremental from a Quest 2. And as an entry point, I've seen you might as well just get a Quest 2. It's cheaper if it's your first foray.
That IGN review was off the chain. They loved it.
Yeah, I think the issue with the Quest is not the hardware at this point. It's software.
Yeah.
I think I can't remember. It was PC Gamer. I can't remember where it was. I read it, but it's like, how many sword slicing games can I play? Like, you know what I mean? I've said this already. We need sit down. Just because you have motion controllers and you can do really cool things in VR doesn't mean you can't actually put a traditional controller in someone's hand and have them just chill out and play a game in 3D.
Preach
That's
it.
fun too.
Preach it. Agreed.
I'd like to point everyone to actually, because I keep meaning to bring this up on things I played and never do. So while I think of it, on Steam there's a software called 3D Sen VR.
All right.
Please look it up, Scott, so you can show the chat room.
Sen VR? How do you say it?
Yeah, 3D Sen SEN VR, all one word. 3D Sen VR.
All right, I'm gonna find it.
And this is a NES emulator for your VR headset.
Oh, so you got like a little
the
TV.
It's kind of janky in that it relies a lot on the community to make. It only works on certain ROMs, but it 3D. Essentially, what it does is it 3Difies NES games. So you sit with your controller and play it in the headset.
Weird.
It's weird and like not the best experience, but it's just an example of like you're always thinking like it has to be a 3D immersive. You got to feel like your your beard's blowing up in your eyeballs kind of thing or something like that, you know. And it's like actually you can just take like 2D experiences. Like Moss, I think, is a game franchise. I haven't played it, but it's just like a platformer in 3D, right? You don't have to.
You feel like you're looking down on almost like a diorama of stuff.
I don't want to pick up 100 ammo packs. My poor knees. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
The whole like standing up immersiveness is cool, but actually we just need to sit down and chill, but leverage subtly the strength of VR AR. And,
or even just experiment more. Like that's the whole thing. Like whenever I poo-poo it, which I do a lot, like everybody reminds me, like it's experimental. They're figuring it out. This is the Wild West of VR. And like from the outside looking in, the Wild West of VR is a race to see who can do the best hand gesture to reload a gun. And that's so boring to me. It's like, come on, guys, do interesting things. Like this is interesting. Like I have no doubt that there's an abundance of like interesting things out there if you look. But again, like when I get into VR, I want it to be. I'm not looking to be cutting edge. I don't need to be in the Wild West of VR. I'll see VR when it's finished.
This looks
I want
crazy.
the final product. Seeing this gives me hope that maybe we might get to a final product because like this is somebody experimenting with stuff.
Yeah.
And that's cool. And that gets me way more excited than look how good our reload animation is on a shotgun. You have to put shells in the gun. Like, whoop-de shit. Like, somebody did that once. We don't need 300 other people to do the same thing.
Yeah, people are still just trying to understand the language of VR. It's, you know, they're experimenting.
That's what appealed to me to this. The game they're demonstrating from the trailer watching, I don't know it, but like I've played Mega Man, Ninja Gaiden in 3D. It produces that 3D weird effect for the game. Yeah. It's not the best, but it's like, you know, like you guys said, it's a different application. I can sit there with my controller and just play a NES game, but experience it in a different way. It's kind of
really novel looking. So, I like that.
Yeah. And so, you know, back on the Quest 3 thing, it's like it just needs apps and just it needs those exciting apps, but it needs like good sitting stuff too. You know, I've found there's some good concert apps now. I know people like my recommendations, so I'll just toss them out really quickly too. Amaze VR is okay, but it has a great Zara Larson. I guess she's like I can't remember what country she's from, European pop star. It's a good concert. Okay. Like she's from Norway or Sweden or something. I don't want to get it wrong. One of those 3 countries that are cold.
So a Scandinavian country is what you're saying. Somewhere in Scandinavia.
Yeah,
I don't want to offend anybody, but it's from one of the 3 cold countries.
Well, I guess I could just look it up and be a good. And there's probably not 3; it's probably 4 because I probably left out.
It probably is 4, or probably more than that.
I think a lot of people think the country you're in is a cold country.
Yeah, you're in one of them.
Cold European country. She's Swedish. I mean, I'll just figure. It says Wikipedia says she's Swedish, so Swedish
sense.
Pop star. The concert's pretty good. Venta X, these are on App Lab, so you have to search for them. Has good K-pop concerts, 8K, both in 8K high definition video. It's great. We need more of that too, please. Like just anything
more cool
to watch and do in 3D. It would be great.
Yeah, the interface is underutilized right now.
So you know, but I think the problem is like Oculus has taken the leadership, as Well, I say that the front runner right now. So I don't with the way Valve does products, I'm not exactly holding my breath for a new index, especially at good retail price. So they're taking leadership on flooding the market with their products.
Index 2 is still really expensive. You're thinking maybe like an untethered or tetherable, but still untethered, like equivalent for under 500 or something from Valve.
Yeah, like anything sub 1,000 even, right? Like Apple's going like, I don't know what that's going to look like. It's kind of, and I'm not a good market analyst, but I'm assuming you're not going to have one of those in every household. Oculus has always read to me making the play, like, because Facebook's everywhere. They're trying to get their headset. I assume that's Zuckerberg's agenda. Everyone gets a headset, and everyone, has a telephone in their house. Everyone has a cell phone. If everyone has a VR headset, you control a really big market so that when something comes along, you stand to profit quite a lot because they're in the house, right? Yeah. So I always felt that's the strategy. It's just, I think a lot of times it's not the manufacturers that are making the product. Like Nintendo's kind of an example of they make the games that are also good on their console, but does Microsoft make the best games on Xbox? I guess Sony makes the best games on PlayStation, probably. Yeah. But they're not the only ones. They have partners. They have other developers.
Sure.
I know Oculus is backing projects because you'll see Oculus stuff there, but it hasn't gotten better than Half-Life Alyx. And maybe the Quest 3 is powerful enough to give to make an experience like that. I don't know. But.
Yeah. Ironically, it would be Valve who would benefit most from a cheaper entry point because they have such a Steam ecosystem. And you could, in theory, you'd have Steam installed on that headset, and most of your games, certainly all your VR games, would just run untethered and run as well as it would on your PC.
I think the headsets are expensive to manufacture, and I think that this is where Oculus is kicking themselves in their own nuts, giving us cheap stuff. Like,
yeah, even at this new price,
100% a loss leader for sure, right? Yeah. Like
even now, yeah. Especially because they did all that pass-through camera AR stuff with this version with 3.
Yeah, like I think even at the price point it's at, you're getting a really good deal on the hardware.
Yeah, I'm very curious about it. If you end up with one, I can't wait to talk about it.
I'm pretty sure I got a gift card for my birthday, so I've already knocked $100 off the price point.
Nice.
So yeah, it was
discount. I did order. This probably means the 3rd edition of this is coming, but Microsoft makes those Elite controllers. John, I think you have the OG one, the original.
Yeah. It fell apart, but I have it.
Oh, fantastic. The Series 2 version of it, it was the current one, and Walmart had them on sale today for $80, normally $160 or whatever. So I grabbed one.
That's awesome.
I know.
That's a good deal.
It seems like a good deal.
They fixed whatever the problem is.
Well, it probably means
doesn't fall apart like mine did.
It probably means some 3rd awesome one's coming like early next year, and they're trying to move them now. I don't know. I probably made a mistake. I have no idea. But I like a nice tight.
You go through controllers, like
that's
the thing.
It's part of what we do. So I'm looking forward to that. We'll talk more about it next week when I get it. Okay. Well, that's all the news she wrote. We got to do some voicemails here.
That's a good question.
So check this out. We got a couple of voicemails, and we're going to start with this one. This is more about Star Citizen. This is someone who's actually playing it. Okay. And they had these thoughts. This is not them coming at us or anything. This is actually some pretty good info. So here's that call.
Hey, Core. This is David from Florida. Love listening to your show. Love all you guys. Listen to it every Friday at work. So you guys were talking about Star Citizen, and the game is fun. You will lose your ship a lot. You will die a lot, and you lose your items on death. So that's kind of annoying. You have to buy suits every time you get a star suit. But anyway, if you guys do decide to get it and try it out, go with the cheapest option, probably the $45 Aurora, I think it is, because you can buy the UX, the money on Etsy, and you can buy like 2 million credits for probably $15. Anyway, it's a good game. I hope it comes out. It's really fun, but in terms of content, there is a lot of flying you can do and a lot of dying. Missions, not so much. I mean, some people have their fun with it, but that wasn't one of the things I liked. I just liked flying my ship and crashing into stuff. Anyway, love the show. Sorry about the long message. Have a good one.
It's a lot of flying and dying. I like that.
I just like flying my ship and crashing into stuff. That's all we got
there you
here,
go.
folks.
There you go.
That's all, folks.
Hey, you know what? No shame on people enjoying what they enjoy. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's fine.
No,
it's
I just
fine.
a
If
funny
you-
way to describe a game. That's all.
I just like flying my ship and crashing into stuff.
This is how my son played
But-
video games for most of his childhood. Whatever the game was, run off the cliff, slam into the wall, break
Well,
something.
the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. I've seen your Just Cause clips.
I know, dude. Freaking Just Cause was awesome that way. I love that game. I wish those were better now. 4 was kind of a disappointment.
I
Anyway,
guess there isn't a new Just Cause. That's kind of crazy.
well, it's
That's what-
so it's the Rage 2 devs. It's the same people that did Max
Oh.
Game and Rage 2, and I think they're now under the Microsoft umbrella, I think. But they're supposedly working on a well, that can't be because they're doing it for WB. Anyway, supposedly there's a new Mad Max follow-up getting made because that game got more and more popular over time. Didn't sell extremely well at the time, but people discovered it as they went. I was
Often on sale for $5. There's
Yeah.
always a big push for that game.
Yeah, that game rocks. It's so good. And it looks
You're gonna get Liam
amazing.
back? You're
2015.
gonna bring Liam back?
There's some beautiful games in 2015. That was one of them. It looked better than a lot of other stuff out there. Yes, it was desolate, and yes, it was meant to look dirty and gross, but it was beautiful. Like the photo mode in that thing alone was whoa. It was really nice. Anyway, we'll see what they do
I just
next.
want to say to this listener, thank you for spilling the beans on the Etsy hack for the game. Apparently, I guess the in-game currency trading can happen.
I
on
didn't know Etsy did that. Did you guys know that?
Can you buy WoW
Etsy
Gold on
Etsy does a lot of shady business.
Are you saying
like,
Are you saying Etsy? What really? I thought Etsy was for like
Etsy? Well,
crafts.
here's why. Because a lot of not savvy adults, the kids, they ask like, okay, but can I go on Etsy? And to a lot of adults, like, oh, Etsy's that craft website.
Right.
I don't have to worry about anything on there. Etsy's a friggin' cesspool, man. You
John,
can
I
find
gotta
some
interrupt
rough
you.
stuff on Etsy.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that like it's the Mos Eisley Cantina of the internet, but it is not so thread and needle craft store that you think it is. Like it is a backdoor to many things.
Yeah.
I gotta interrupt you. Click the link in Discord.
Uh-oh. What is this?
There's a maker on here for $17,599 Canadian. You can get a life-size Optimus Prime, and I bet you if you reach out and ask, they'll make you a Shockwave.
Holy, yeah, John, do you have 17 grand?
What am
Holy
I gonna
shit.
pay him with? I don't have that money.
It's funny, like
I mean, I
never go
got
to
a lot of new patrons, but not that many.
Not that many.
I never,
Look at
I
that.
never go to Etsy, but like literally the For You page or whatever, as soon as I log in, is all Megatron and Optimus Prime. I don't know how it
I
They
like
know
that
you.
it's in 5 people's baskets.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
have one left and 5 people have it in their basket right now. It's like, you know what? Any day now. I'm gonna
Any
pull the
minute.
trigger on this Optimus Prime.
This is
Look.
beautiful, though. Gosh,
It
dang
is really cool. It is super, super cool.
I want
no doubt
this
about
so bad. It's never going to happen. None of us have this cash, but
No.
I want
but
to see
it's
him.
very, very cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. And it's the
Anyway,
perfect. It's the perfect
I
mix.
apologize to Amanda for putting the fear of your financial future in jeopardy.
Oh
but
my gosh. If she sees this part of the show, I'm amazed I'm not going to get a text saying, under no circumstances.
There's not a chance.
You're gonna be up
Zero.
all night with your eyes open, going like, "How could I possibly like planning a
I
bank heist or
scream.
something? Like, how can I make this dream not a
You
dream?"
know, if I turn off the entrance music, I can actually monetize frog wrestling.
That's right. That's
Nice.
right. Oh my gosh, a topless Sylvanas statue. Okay, yeah, John's right. There's
Yeah.
some stuff in here. You know,
Here's
Oh,
my PSA for you. All
is
you
it
parents out there
life-size?
that your kids are saying, hey, I want to go to Etsy and you think it's fine. It might not be fine. That might be a website you want to block.
yeah. This surprises
Oh, it
me.
is topless too. It didn't. Oh, it was
Depends on which one you're
$2
looking
and
at.
11 cents.
Oh, that's for the STL. You print it yourself.
Oh,
Oh my gosh,
Well,
there's an area in here that I
life-size.
just realized is a thing, and I'm Now I'm embarrassed I went here. All right.
Well, I'm surprised there's even.
I just got a text from my wife. It says, "Under no circumstances."
Well, don't say no. That closes the door.
Yeah. What if we
some
won the
circumstances.
lottery? I got a lottery ticket last night. We didn't win, but if we won the lottery, I could make it happen.
The right search on this website produces Cyberpunk 2077 results. And I don't mean video game results. I mean some of the shit you see in that game. Certain stores, let's say.
Cyberpunk 2077?
No, I'm just saying with the right search, it'll look like one of those shops in Japantown. You know the ones I mean.
Yeah.
Just.
Oh, you can get yourself a Mr. Stud.
You can get.
Yeah.
What's a Mr. Stud? Do I want to know?
A Mr. Stud is an item in the game where you can prosthetically remove your genitalia and give yourself a robot penis. It's not in the video game, but it's in the pen and paper or a vagina. Like you can just, you can get yourself a new nose, chop off your nose or mouth in that game.
Yeah.
You can do that to your genitals in the Cyberpunk universe. You can just chop it all off and get robot one.
Do you remember the Show Me Your Genitals guy? That guy that used to do that video? Do you guys remember that? Hold on. Show me your... Let me see if I can find... I think I have a clip.
Remember the video about the person that said choose?
And anyways, I remember that the penis mod is called Mr. Stud. I can't remember what they call it's in the catalog in the pen and paper RPG, but
I can't find him. I will send you the video.
What I was going to do, if we ever played Cyberpunk, I shouldn't spoil it, but I don't know if we'll ever play pen and paper Cyberpunk, but I was going to have a guy who had, the prosthesis, but instead of a, penis or vagina, it would be like a hand, like the guy in The Mandalorian, but it would be, he'd have a third hand where a gun would pop out of the fly of his pants and go.
Oh, yeah.
And like you feel it, but like we'd introduce it by feeling something metal rubbing up against your leg, and you look down and you'd see like a metal hand coming out. Like I'm like, it would be so awesome. I want to play Cyberpunk 2022 or 2020.
Man, I don't know. Every time you just start describe some of the stuff you're capable of doing in that game, I'm like, do we really want to play that? Maybe we.
It won't last long. It's very lethal.
That's true. People die real quick.
The party would be dead within a.
Like if you did like half the stuff you did
a
at
dungeon.
Ash, like you'd definitely like start a gunfight, so quick. I'm sure.
So you've never heard this? I'm gonna play a little audio. This is amazing. Hold on. I might get dinged for this on YouTube.
Yeah, what's his name? John
John
Baker? No.
Baker. What?
What's his name?
Diefenbaker.
Lou Lamerd. What's his name?
That's not a real name, is it? Lou Lamerd?
I gotta write that one down. That's a good Cyberpunk name.
Oh my gosh, dude.
I am Lou Lamerd, and I'm about to give you your mission.
Like a Ripper Doc name. That's pretty good.
Yeah, that's a great Ripper Doc name.
We have one more call.
Oh yeah, it's John
Leguizamo. John Jagger. John
Lajoie.
That's me.
John Lajoie.
Oh, show me your genitals. Your genitals. There's something about it. It's catchy and earworm.
It's John Lajoie. He's a Montrealer guy.
Genitalia. All right.
He got an acting gig on that fantasy football TV show.
Oh, really?
That Nick Kroll was in.
And, yeah. He was in that?
I'm crazy. I'm the crazy guy. I got curly hair and I yell all the time. Who's that?
I don't know. But he had 30.
Every guest appearance, I'm always like, why would you do that? I'm crazy. Have you met me? Like that guy.
Well, this guy's video has 84 million views. I think he did pretty good with Show Me Your Genitals. All right. One more call we got here to play. This is from... who's this from? I don't remember, but it's the way people talk and see Cyberpunk he wants to talk about. So here you go.
Hello, Scott. Bo with an E-A-U-G-H and John with one N. Kind of curious on Cyber.
Real quick, there is no G-H in your name.
I thought he was going to misspell everybody's name, but then he got mine right.
Yeah, you didn't say mine at all. And in your case,
he had a lot to Bo's.
The misspelling is always B-O. I've never had somebody add more letters. That's a first for me.
Yeah. So it's B-E-A-U.
Basically turned it into throat singing at the back.
I think a bow is like when the bow breaks.
John, do that again. Did you just do a throat singing thing? Do that again.
Bow.
Oh my shit. You could do that if you wanted. You
so
could
a bow is a thing.
It's one of the dumbest things we've ever talked about. All right. So that guy said your name wrong. Anyway,
name?
we'll let him continue. Here he is. Maybe. Why won't it resume? I don't know.
Cyberpunk.
Okay.
I've been playing it basically for the first time since the 2.0 and Phantom Liberty. And I'm just wondering if it's me because you guys haven't mentioned it. The dialogue is so stuttered. It's so shorthand. They don't say full, complete sentences. Specifically V and like Johnny Silverhand. But some of the other characters too, they talk in such stuttered language. It's real immersion breaking for me, and it's almost making the game unplayable to me.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of curious if you guys have a take on that. Whereas other characters, like I'm at this point sitting down here with Takamura in the diner, he talks great, full sentences, no problem there. But V is just like he's missing the noun or the pronouns in most of the sentences. And anyway, just looking for your take. Thanks. Bye.
It's a Cyberpunk thing, right? That kind of talk?
So I noticed it at first too, and what really underscored it for me is they do it in Edge Runners, and that solidified it for me because I noticed what he's talking about originally playing, and I noticed it in Edge Runners too. They don't say like, "Oh, I need a cyber deck." You go, "Need a cyber deck?" Got one, and I assume it's an aesthetic choice to like because time is money, or something.
Yeah, I think that's how they talk. But I like the idea that he wants to live in a world where it's like, what do you want to do today, Jackie? Pish posh, V. I think perhaps we will have to go and raid Arasaka Tower post haste.
Yeah.
Like it's.
But he's not right though, because we use the pronouns a little more than they do in that game, and maybe that's the commentary.
I never noticed it because for whatever reason it just fits that universe so well. But as soon as you started talking about it, I started replaying it in my head. I'm like, my gosh, it is really bad.
It's
and normally that is the sort of thing that I would pick up on and it would bug me. But for some reason, it fits that universe so well that it went right over my head. And until I started thinking about it, I didn't even notice it.
Yeah, it's kind of that whole no press, sick of already being here. And they're not saying, they're not addressing each other. Yeah, it's like a lot of weird. It's a lot of weird.
I know, but even when they're speaking, it's just like need a vehicle. Got one for me, not you got one for me, like, or like they're dropping a very little amount, but it's noticeable. They just talk in like imperative, demanding, curt sentences. You're not crazy for noticing that. It's definitely a thing.
I definitely noticed, but it feels like the world to me, so it never bothered me.
I watched it's because I think it's subtle, but it's definitely deliberate. It's happened. I've noticed just like him, and at first I was like, what explains this? And then I'm like, once I saw it in the anime, I was like, okay, this isn't just like somebody's terrible at English, like writing this, because they are a Polish company.
Yeah.
Maybe the localization got weird. It seemed deliberate because I'm pretty sure, even though it's a Polish company,
it is.
Pretty sure they're English centric. Like out of all the languages, they're not like just developing in Polish and being like, yeah whatever.
They're also huge.
Not Dyson Sphere program, you know what I'm saying?
Right. It's not a mistranslation, it's intentional.
Yeah.
Although I will say the anime does do one thing that the game does not do, and I'm glad. This does bug me, even though I do believe that there is a lore reason for it. But in the anime, during phone conversations, they repeat words. So they'll say like, right, be right over. And stuff like that. And the idea is that because you're speaking, it's not really telepathically, but it's via, mental brain hardware to make a phone call. You're not sitting there going, Scott, let me tell you what's going. Like you're doing it with your
Pardon
brain.
all the technical language, but they're using mental brainware.
Yeah, mental brain powers. The thing is, I don't want to say telepathy, but it's kind of telepathy. Like if you're just using your brain to construct a message,
it's just shorthand, right? Just shorthand at the end of the day. They're just saying.
But the idea is that your brain gets distracted, repeats words. It's not a perfect system. Like that's my understanding.
That's AI voice maybe it's AI voice processing. Like maybe you're not sending audio, you're sending thought, and then an AI voice generator in your voice. That
could
preset
be doing all the work for
in the recipient's head.
It's entirely possible. I will say that like when they do this with accents in like The Expanse, the Belters, I love the way the Belters talk. And there's a similarity to it. Like, they're very abrupt with the way they use pronouns. They're very strange sentences. They end with words that make no sense, only make sense to them. Oh, I love that stuff. But maybe that's because they accent it. And also, what's her name? Not Brummer. What's her name? Boomer?
Naomi Nagate?
No.
Oh, no, you're talking about
Drummer. Drummer is what I meant. When she talks,
I don't know, for oily drummer.
Completely transfixed when she talks in that.
What's her first name?
Her real name's Kara Gee, but her name in the thing is something Kara Drummer, Kara, something like that.
Kara Drummer. Yeah. Okay.
I have the game, and I still need to finish the last 2 episodes. But
oh yeah, how many episodes are out?
There are, I think, all of them now. So I just got to.
Yeah, I think they're all done. I think it's done. It's out.
Yep, got to play.
Although
it.
I do think this guy answered his question when he said Takamura doesn't bother him because he speaks in complete sentences. I think that perfectly fits that character, and I think that's all you really need to know that this is an intentional choice with kind of the younger.
Well, the Arasaka, the Japanese, they're from Japan. Like, they're not local to Night City. Like, I'm sure the Arasakas, when you're watching them, one commit, what is it, paternicide?
Patricide?
Oh, yeah.
Paternicide.
What's
paternicide?
Paternicide would be paternity. That's when you die when you leave for
that's
paternity.
The male side word too, but Patrick side.
Patrick side.
Somebody tell Patrick Beja his
kill
name.
SpongeBob's best friend.
Amazing.
Anyway, what I'm trying to say is I think those guys also don't speak in Night City, for lack of a better way of putting it.
It would be cool if you chose the Corpo origin story in the game, which I did the first run through. It'd be cool if V talked a little more like the Corpo folks do in the game, like the kind of upper echelon people.
Be a lot of line rereads though, for that. Like every line, but we got to do a slightly corporate edge to it.
And they do fake it up a little, like she's kind of in a, what's the word when you're sort of in a place that you don't really belong? There's a word
fish out of water.
Fish out of water. There you go. Except I guess in water in this case. But anyway, no, it's a. No, let's stay with fish out of water.
She's a fish
don't
in water.
confuse the analogy anymore. You're like, but in this case, she's a fish in water, which is weird because we all know fish love being on
water.
land
They love it
all the time.
They're so into the water, man. Yeah, I was wrong to try to change that. All right. Anyway, I think we've answered that.
Nice voicemail.
Yeah, if you guys want to send us voicemail, super easy, 801-471-0462. You can also text us there. It helps if you put core in your message. And if you want us to say your name, just sort of include that.
We got no text this week?
We have some, but, 2 calls, probably plenty for now. We'll save some for next week.
I like hearing your text sound effect. That's all.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Well, let me tell you this. I do have a thing to play that is not me or anyone else talking. It's a robot. And here's the reason I did it. All right. We got a shit ton of patrons this last week. And I don't know why. Even today was an insane number of human beings. And I don't know what we did other than I know we make a good show.
Write in and say where you came from.
Yeah.
Just tell us what brought you here.
What brought you here? Because we'd love to know.
I mean, we're happy to have you.
Yeah.
We're not ostracizing you, but suddenly there were a lot of people outside.
That's right.
Curious why.
That's right. So I'm going to play a little music. Let's get this going here. And I'm going to play these names. Now, normally I read like the 6 or 7 names that joined us over the week, but this is big enough where I now have a 56.2 second patron read by a AI British man. All right. So we're fancying up the joint. Here are the people that joined us.
If you want me to read names in a British accent, you don't have to give it to AI. I will do
That's
the work.
true. You would absolutely do it. And by the way, this is not a voice I borrowed from anybody. This isn't one I trained anyone on. This is an ethically sourced AI voice that was made from nothing.
Ethically sourced AI. Farm Fresh AI.
Farm Fresh, fed, what's the thing? Open Range. No, that's a movie about Western things. Free
this
range.
British person grew up in the fields of
So here he is naming off all you people this week.
Open Makers Podcast.
Jason Robbins, Swayze, John M. Henfey, Joel George Reddick, Heino Pull, Roger French, Wujman Walker, Monaghan Sweetshell, Chris Thibault, Rob Richard, Chris Latreya, John Hailstone, Zigbjörn Breder, Gabriel G., Silraz Geyer, Destin Flurry, Paulus, Engin Saglik, Frederick Petterson, Brandon, Andrew Percy, Liam Stanley, Ryan Howitt, Abdulsalam, Ari Nerd Cave, Retro Dead Jack, Josh McFadden, Dickie Spears, Galen Slinkard, Dave Robinson, Jesse Allen, Sean Myers, Nono Kazander, The Gamer, Aaron Port, Jared Pendergast, Dylan Sisko, Robert Putnam, Glenn Phillips, Elsell, Robert Bond, Matt Ryder, John Boxer, Conman, Valentine, Preston, Broken One, UOR, Shane, Luke, Robinson, Brian B., Josh Haskins, DP Zarg, Star Sapphire, Usagi-chan, Jeff Gather Keith.
Keith is our final dude. Keith.
Man,
I love some of these names, but we gotta stop by and
in the
comment on
middle
them.
there somewhere, I just thought we were casting a spell.
Yeah, you might want to put a little space between the names.
Yeah, we
like,
need a bigger gap because it got real lost somewhere in the middle.
Well, what's the book in Evil Dead called? Necronomicon?
The Necronomicon.
It does feel like we are invoking some sort of dark energy by having it read like that.
I mean, damn, who's called Star Sapphire Usagi-chan? I want that name.
That's
a pretty good
great name.
It's a pretty good name. But anyway, you guys, I don't know what
Conman
happened.
Valentine? That's a Cyberpunk name.
Hell yeah. I completely
Don't worry,
agree.
you can trust Conman Valentine.
But you guys were so nice. It's only been a week and we get all these names. It's just insane to me. So a huge thanks. You must enjoy no commercials, pre-show content, monthly host shows, art in the mail. You must enjoy all these things. If you didn't, why would you join up? And you must really like the show, and we really appreciate
It
the
pleases my
support.
heart that you like it that much, honestly, because the one thing I wanted to do, even starting this, is like make people feel as good as I did listening to podcasts.
Yeah.
And I take that as a sign you're enjoying yourself.
Yeah, it sure seems like it, right? So, very grateful. From the bottom of our hearts, thank you. And if you would like to know more and you'd like to join up and be a part of this group, patreon.com/core show. That is going to do it for us. Now, before we go, we got this old lady in the back named Fast Grandma. And she takes the microphone and reminds everybody what we played this week so you quit bugging us during the week. So, Grandma, take it away.
They haven't made me an AI yet. I'm still living, breathing evidence that I can read a list. You don't need a computer for me. Anyway, if you want to know what the boys played, they all sort of played Cyberpunk. Bo didn't, but we put him on the list anyway, because don't exclude the Canadian. Scott also played Bang on Balls Chronicles.
Yeah.
Just let that roll around in your mouth a little bit.
Yeah.
He played
Grandma.
he played Sticky Business.
Uh-huh.
See above? He played Rage 2. And then he poked around a little with Assassin's Creed Mirage, Amid Evil, and for some reason, in his words, Papers, Please.
Uh-huh.
John continued to play WWE 2K23, and then he played demos. He played a demo for Deep Rock Galactic Survivor and a demo for RoboCop Rogue City.
Yeah.
And Bo played Warhammer 40K Darktide.
Were you searching for porn games, John or Scott, and just settled on
what?
The games you played this
No,
week?
I know it sounds like
reason
it.
it's like
Scott's
balls
like,
on
balls.
bangers and
All right.
balls on bangers, sticky business.
Sticky business.
Sticky business.
No, none of that is true.
You're just like, I can't find them. Oh,
Then he
well,
got mad.
please.
Rage 2.
I
Well, he found fun games.
I was looking for sales, and that's how I found them. Sales of highly reviewed games. That's how I go. The porn stuff, whatever, it shows up once in a while, and I don't buy any of those. But Bo will.
But based on the title, it sounded like failed searches. You know what I mean?
Oh, right. Like
Yeah.
I didn't succeed in my goal. Yeah, no, that's
Hang
fair.
on balls, sticky business.
When you read it all together as one, yeah, it was just like, something go wrong?
Yeah, what happened to you this week? Weird. Anyway.
I'm pretty sure that's a line of dialogue in Cyberpunk. A good example of the shortening that he was talking about. Bang on balls, sticky business, V.
Yeah, there you go. That's exactly right. Oh my gosh, we've done it outside and inside the game, like fishes out of water. This is amazing. All right, that's going to do it for us. I have to burp. I've been burping all night. Okay,
Oh,
I'm
burp
going to
on-
hold it
we
in.
need more
The
sound
gird.
clip.
I'm going
The
to hold it
gird
in. I
is
got
back.
the gird. I don't know why I got the gird. The gird. Anyway, that'll do it for us. Thank you all for watching, for listening, for hanging out, and for downloading this show. We will see you all next time for another Core. Between now and then, go play some games. We'll see you there.
Get more at frogpants.com.
Have you guys looked at that Jason Hightower guy? You got to see him.
Yeah, his mustache is amazing.
You should
Amazing.
play Mario.
He's amazing mustache.